Hey, everybody. I'm Mike.
I'm Bob.
I'm Tim.
I'm Daryl.
Yes, he did it.
And this is the Board Game Rundown. Welcome to Whiskey Wednesday, November 20th edition. We have got designer, podcaster, world traveler, Daryl Andrews with us. Daryl, we've been a fan from afar for a long time. It is a pleasure to get you on our show, sir.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. It was great to meet two of the three of you outside of the Toronto Blue Jays Stadium. So nice to finally get to hang out with y'all.
Yeah, they don't let me in Canada anymore.
No, they don't.
The incident.
Yeah.
The syrup incident.
That was actually kind of funny how that went down because we had planned on doing, Bob and I had planned on a whole road trip through Toronto to get to QsCon for months. And Googs for months also was like, why are you wasting time in Toronto? Just come straight to QsCon, you idiot.
Wow.
And then the night before is like, hey, what are you doing Friday? I'm like, well, Friday I'm driving up to Toronto. He's like, well, I'll be at the Blue Jays game with Daryl on Sunday. I'm like, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, you idiot.
So
Don't go to Toronto.
know,
what idiot goes to Toronto? As Googs is driving to Toronto?
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I'm buying tickets, and then we ran into you finally.
Yeah,
So.
super hilarious. Yeah, I last year had a kind of a quarter season ticket. So when Googs and I have some projects we're working on together, so he came up and I said, well, you're allowed to come up as long as we can take an intermission and go catch the game because I wasn't getting rid of my tickets. So yeah.
I respect a sports fan. I do.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We got to say hi to our regulars, of course. The Rossies are with us, regulars at the QsCon festivities. Andrew, our fan number 0.
That's right.
And, of course, we got fellow designer Evan Halbert in the house. What's up, Evan? Thanks for joining us, man.
Hey.
Portland. He's keeping Portland weird all by himself.
All by himself.
I think I can say something now. I haven't been able to say anything about this for months, but December 4th on Amazon Prime, Pop Culture Jeopardy will start airing. They're going to drop 3 episodes a week, and you will see me and my two non-board game friends on Pop Culture Jeopardy. I cannot tell you how it went.
Wow.
Other than that, we out of what was it? I think 500,000 people applied and somehow we got on. So they flew us out to California for a weekend and we got to be on Jeopardy. And it was on the Jeopardy stage and everything. It's nice to just be able to say it. I haven't been able to tell anybody. Like Mike and Bob knew, but can't tell anybody. Shh. But only the people that were there and my wife know how we did.
That's so cool.
So
that is why we can't do trivia games on the show unless it's with some wagers and it's just a number.
Right. So. Yeah. You don't play trivia with me unless you're on my team. Then it's super fun for you.
Or it's bubble bet trivia.
Right.
That's the one thing I beat you at.
Is this like Netflix? We're trying to stream the Tyson fight? Are we choppy now?
Yeah, if we're having tech difficulties, definitely let us know. But hopefully not. Tim seems to have been giving his internet hamster that high protein food, which helps a lot.
So. Mention it, dude. That's how you mess it up.
What?
So
Andrew's having issues too.
We don't always do this segment, but I did find out that that Daryl brought it, and that is a bottle of whiskey. So I'd like to ask what you're drinking, Daryl.
Well, it's Whiskey Wednesday, so I thought I better join the crew. So I got a little
there
you go.
I like that one.
Yeah. So I'm
done.
rocking. I also gotta give a shameless plug to Berkey. I got my Game Toppers cup.
Go for it.
If
Nice.
Berkey's watching, you should sponsor these guys. You can be all of us could be drinking out of these nice cups.
We
From
could.
your lips to the Mad Hatter's ears. Let's go.
Right? Yeah, it's a
Never
good
heard
one.
anything more true.
Right?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't drink a lot of whiskey, but when I do, I enjoy. It's
Right.
a nice something to just kind of sip and play games and chill. I actually funny enough, just before COVID, I pitched Johnny Walker to do a Johnny Walker game, and we got right down to the last stages of pitching, and they said, you know what, probably not until this COVID thing settles down. Maybe reach back to us in a few weeks, which obviously was more than a few weeks.
Their optimism was beautiful.
Yeah, it was real hopeful. And then we worked our way through a bunch of different whiskey companies, getting real close every time. But originally it all started because my friend Justin Aram from Chicago works at an agency, a marketing agency that did stuff for them. And then my buddy Sylvain Plante, who I do some co-design with, he drinks just a little whiskey every night with his brother on the phone, just a little cheers. So
there you go.
We thought we could make a game in that world. So someday.
So what kind of mechanics would you use? Obviously, I won't ask you to divulge.
No. I mean, we cooked it out. So it was actually all about the distillery process. We were all about, getting the right mash and getting the right water and fermenting and boiling and, barrel aging and all that. So
you're saying Dave Beck stole your idea?
No.
I'm just playing. I'm just teasing. Just teasing.
The beautiful thing was when I finally got to play Distilled, I was like, one less game I need to make. But
there you go.
But honestly, it was a very different game. It actually resembled more of. Have you guys ever played Glenmore?
No, but I'm aware of it. Yeah,
Glenmore is a lovely game, and so it was probably like a more gateway Glenmore. Glenmore, it's got some crunchy moments and a lot of like kind of Euro mathy moments to balance, and we were just trying to make it more like, you just like whiskey and you just want to sit around with some friends. You don't want to deep teach, but you could just have a fun little tile game. If
you want something sold in like the Jim Beam or Johnny Walker gift shop, it's got to be gateway, right? Nobody's cracking open, they're going to see a 30-page rule book. Their eyes are going to glaze over. They're just going to go back to drinking.
Let's just have a drink.
Exactly. It's like, never mind. Next time I should have spent that on another bottle. Right. Yeah. So that was the idea. And then we ended up doing another game and got final stage with Fireball whiskey. And it was just like trying to fight the dragon. So
nice.
We got close. Actually, ironically, the game that I made at Essen, I just pitched it to a few publishers and they took it. Obviously not with the Fireball license on it, but they're evaluating it. So we'll see. Maybe fingers crossed, some good news in the next few months.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then if that doesn't work, you could just do a screwball.
Right?
Yeah, let's get some peanut butter whiskey in there. That's always good.
That's a Goog's fave. Many times when I'm with him, the screwball comes out. So
yeah.
Several times on this show, he's brought this screwball with him. So
yeah.
I'm going to segue real quick because you had asked how long we had been doing this.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, next week is what we call our Friendsgiving show because it's the night before Thanksgiving.
Beautiful.
That will be 2 years of Whiskey Wednesdays.
That's just a live stream. That's not even counting the regular show.
That's not our regular show. That is just our live show itself. Our channel's been around for about 4.5 years.
Almost 5.
But this is episode 103 of Whiskey Wednesday. And of course, we have all of you wonderful people in the chat to thank for that. So we have now done 100 of these things, which is crazy to think about.
Yours doesn't work like mine does, Bob.
No, it doesn't. And interestingly enough, I am ironically going to Louisville this weekend where I will be touring at least 2 distilleries, testing several samples and imbibing on the most beautiful brown liquid that's ever been created. The bourbon of Kentucky.
There you go.
Well,
so
just like I am tonight.
Mike, that reminds me. That's perfect. When I went to QSCon, I picked you up some beer.
There he is.
I picked you up some beer from that Flamingo distillery, right? When West and I went.
Yeah.
You never paid me for it, so pay me back by picking me up a bottle of something while you're at one of those badass distilleries down in my second hometown, Louisville, Kentucky. And we'll call it even. Is that fair?
That's fair. Yeah.
bring me back a cool
After,
souvenir.
of course, after you do like a tasting.
Listen,
You'd
you
clap.
can. I don't care if you swing by the National Distillery and it's a bottle of Old Crow. I don't care. You just bring me back a bottle of something that says bourbon on it. If it's a bottle with brown liquid and it's Sharpie has written bourbon on the side, it counts. I'll take it.
Nice. Well,
I'll drink it on the show.
well, I'll definitely need Mike and all of you, really, your research and help. I am working on a game that involves bourbon. So, not that it's signed and not that for sure it'll happen, but I pitched in and I'm going to be presenting it to the publisher in April. But you know the board game Beer and Bread?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I pitched them at Essen, and we're doing a follow-up meeting in this spring, but it's called Bourbon and Barbecue.
Oh man,
You
two
look
things
like
I
two
love.
Favorites. Dang.
Right?
Dude.
Doesn't that just have to happen? So my game involves the bourbon trail and some good barbecue. I'm a huge barbecue fan. So
Me too.
Nice.
Yeah.
so you guys will have to play test it for me.
That sounds like a terrible idea. I'm just kidding. I love it. I'm very excited.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, Mike, I found out that Angels Envy actually, I'm not going all the way to Trace because I've got a tour at Evan Williams at 1 and then one at Barrel and Billet at 3. You really think I'm going to make it out to Buffalo Trace an hour away? And in fact, you got to schedule those tours months in advance. I tried to do it 6 weeks in advance. I was on a waiting list.
Wow.
Mike,
Now,
are you?
Angels,
No, go on. And then I'll ask you a question.
Angels Envy is more downtown, and they have the later showings that you can do at like 7 o'clock. I'm just trying to decide if I'm going to be too plowed to do that one. So,
What part of town are you staying in? I'm just wondering if you stay in the same
right
part
downtown.
Oh,
the
you're staying
Homewood
downtown?
Suites right on Market Street.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on, man.
So I'm surrounded by just dozens of distilleries.
You won't be far from the Louisville Slugger baseball museum and all
2
kinds
blocks.
of stuff. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
I actually got for my groomsmen custom Louisville bats when I visited Louisville and got for each of my guys.
I'm just saying, if you go through Cave Hill Cemetery, which is not far from downtown, you can see Muhammad Ali, Colonel Sanders, and my grandmother.
Wow.
True story. I can't confirm the third one.
She's there. She's right around the corner from the Colonel.
I also came out of the womb throwing a curveball, so big part of my lineage as well. So looking forward to it.
Oh, it'll be good. You're gonna have a good time, man. Louisville's a great town. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
That's where all my aunts and uncles are from. My dad's from there. My mom's from there. So,
yeah, I was jealous hearing everybody talk about the Gamma trip.
Dude, I just got to go to Gamma this year. That's it.
Yeah, that's my plan.
It wasn't such a weird time of the week. It's like a Sunday through Thursday thing.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
Listen, I got extra days of vacation this year because I hit my 3rd year and this year, and they'll all be prorated now. So I get another week, the full week. Even if I just take like 2 or 3 days and go down. Yeah, I can just stay at my cousin's. I don't even need to get a hotel room. I could just stay somewhere. Yeah. Awesome. And it's a 5-hour drive. Well, if you drive like me, 4-hour drive. And it's Bob, you shake your head, but am I wrong? You've ridden with me.
What would Mike Miller say?
Listen, it's not a work vehicle. I'm okay.
We know Googs will be there. It's just how many of us can get there. So
I'll just carpool with West again.
So Daryl, you have so much under your belt on BGG that it can't even keep up with you, sir. What else are you working with? Your most recent published design was Mistwind, which of course is a pick up and deliver game, which is why we're talking about them today.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's been a good busy, I there are ebb and flows where I make games and sometimes, it feels like forever for them to come out, but I finally feel like I'm kind of coming up to another run of some of my games coming out. So, and I can finally talk about them, sometimes these projects like, Tim was talking about, like can't talk about the episodes. It's killer because you want to talk about them.
It's the worst thing. You're so excited about it.
You're so excited, and yet, like, you're handcuffed. So, I mean, the ones especially that I'm excited about, obviously Mistwind's hitting, so I'm finally getting to see pictures of people playing it. That is the ultimate best feeling, is when people can actually play your game and you just stumble on the people just playing and you just walk by and kind of watch them enjoy. That's the payout for
Right.
sure. Some upcomers, I got a couple games with 25th Century that I'm real excited about.
They're
coming up.
awesome. I love 25th Century.
Yeah,
God,
they make amazing games. So I got
they're terrible for my wallet.
Yeah. Well, these will be. So I'm pretty pumped about them. So yeah, I got a couple with Chad from 25th Century. He's amazing to work with. I just
Chad's
at
great.
BGG was talking to our developer, and he was showing me kind of some next changes to a game called Chipmunks. And the whole idea is that you play as chipmunks at a tapas that you're monks and you're making beer. And so you use little poker chips as one of the components. So you're literally monks playing with chips as chipmunks, little
Nice.
friar chipmunks, and making Trappist beers. And yeah, I'm really excited about that. It's a worker placement bag pulling game, bag builder. So
Yeah, I love bag
making some recipes. So that I think will be a hit. And then I got another one that's a bit bigger with them, co-designed with Philip Dabari, another wonderful designer.
He's awesome.
Chipmunks is with Bobby West. I got to give him a shout out as well. Lesser known, but Philip and I made a game called St. Augustine, about St. Augustine, Florida. Don't know if you've ever been there, but it's a crazy place with a lot of history. Mm-hmm. It was like the first wooden school, the first lighthouse. They thought it was the Fountain of Youth. There's an awesome, beautiful fort there that actually was controlled by 8 different countries through military conquest. So it's just wild, the history there. So we played up a game that's all about settling and building up the city there.
Is the sequel to that Florida Man?
No, but it should be. But it even started way back then. So it was awesome because there's so much history that actually Philip homeschools his kids. So they made some curriculum studying that. So his kids were our hardcore researchers. It was awesome.
Wow.
So a lot of fun there. We've been talking to Googs in the chat. Got an upcoming game with 3WS that we're really excited about. Working on that. What other things they're cooking?
Yeah,
another one. Unannounced. AKA Googs is saying, "Shut up, Daryl. Don't say anything about it."
Say something, but don't say anything.
Yeah, say it's coming. No, but it's gonna be really cool. So we just had a meeting with that. The biggie. I just had announced a couple cool licenses. One is Donald Duck. So I have a Donald Duck game coming up.
Right on.
With Maestro Media. Pretty pumped about that. I took an old Wolfgang Kramer game and we reimagined it and made it a Disney game. So it's family friendly, 30 to 45 minute tile exploration based off of his game from 20 years ago called Goldland. So,
okay.
So there's that. And then another one that's not really announced, but who cares? I'm happy to talk about it because the CEO kind of winked at it in some article. So I feel like that's enough that I'm allowed to talk about it. It's probably the geekiest thing that I'm excited about. I have done one Batman game before, but
Dark Knight.
Yeah, Dark Knight Returns. But we have a follow-up Batman game. But our second one, this is same co-designer, Morgan Donteval, who's the creative director at Catan. And he used to work at DC and has some pretty cool background with comics. We ended up making for Upper Deck a Batman animated game. So yeah, so
nice.
Pretty pumped about that. You play as the enemies, as the baddies, the Rogues Gallery.
Didn't Googs do a Batman the Animated Series game?
He did with Richard Lania. So we're joining ranks with those guys.
There you go.
We joined the family. Yeah, exactly. So we made a game The working title, I think it'll come out probably not until Gen Con. It's called Enemies of Gotham. And it's, I think, 12 villains in the box that you can choose from. Yeah, like Mike said, it's a different lane. Ours is more of a area control mission fight game where Batman keeps popping up and getting in your way, and some of the other heroes. So that's some. What else is there?
What do you think? Because you have so many.
Yeah.
A two-part question. What has been your most popular game, and what has been your favorite game that you designed? Pick your favorite child.
Oh, it seems impossible. I mean, my most popular is Sagrada.
Sure.
That for sure is.
My wife loves that game. I love any game I can get my wife to play with me.
Right.
And the theming is on point.
Yeah.
You guys did a really nice job with Sagrada.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's so cool to like hear so many like partners and family members that would never play games that
gets people in. Yeah.
Gets them in, and like even just like, I don't know, there's something really satisfying about being part of bringing more people to the table that I just like love being part of that story. And we stumbled into it. You know, it wasn't like we had some genius plan. It just clicked. It was just the right ideas at the right time with the right publisher, and it came together. And since then, you know, we've made some fun expansions. We did the Legacy game last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a really cool refresh coming out next year that I'm pretty psyched about. You know, if you see a red laser on me, that's because Ben Parkin from Floodgate might get me. But
I saw a thing on the BGG page about a Sagrada expansion thing or something. So yeah.
Stuff's coming. We're always trying to dream up.
Is Googs calling his shot and making sure you're going to be a QSCon next year?
Wow, he's pegging us all down.
Yeah, I will confess, I was at QSCon 1, had an amazing time, but unfortunately have missed it for the last few years. But I have promised Mike that if everything's in my power, I will be there for the next one. So the last few years, it's been
dumb luck. I'm wearing my QSCon.
Oh, look at you go!
Look at that. I just by accident.
Yeah. So I did miss them because they were real close to Essen, and I had needs to be there. So thankfully they're more spaced out. Yeah. Oh my goodness, the Return of Daryl. Don't do that.
I was gonna go back. Sagrada is an excellent gateway game. I love how it's low on rules, but gives you a lot to think about on your turn. So great for non-gamers and hardcore gamers like us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that's the goal. I think often is how can you make the upfront less and still make it really interesting? Interesting decisions.
Now, let me just fanboy out real quick, like 2 seconds. One of my favorite things about doing this show is that it's like I've had a game in my collection since that game came out, and it's gotten like circulated, and we played a shit ton of it. And then like next thing you know, I've got, somebody that was crucial to the design and development, and I'm hanging out and I'm having a beverage with them. I just love that can happen. That's very cool for me. I think that's exciting.
This whole industry is like that, right? Like,
I
just love that. I can roll up at a board game convention and then just be like, "Oh, what do you do?" And they're like, I invented Pandemic. And you're like, "What? You're Matt Leacock?" He was just hanging out at BGG, just walking around playing games.
Nice.
That actually happened to me and Bob at Origins this year.
Cool.
Yuval Grunspun, who's got a game that'll be published by Burnt Island, was like, "Hey, you want to come play some games with us and Matt Leacock?" Sure. Like, you're right. That's exactly what happens at cons all the time.
All the time.
Now, Daryl, have you ever been sitting at a table and like people are talking about games and they say, "Oh yeah, I remember game X. Have you played that?" And they're like, "Oh, I hate that game," and it's your game.
Oh yeah. No. My all-time favorite moment. This is like early in my career. I did a little small dice game that was Back to the Future license called Out of Time.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure it was that game. And I was at it was a smaller convention, Grand Con. And
right on. Yeah.
I was there
run by-
this year for the first time.
Oh, it's a great con. I missed it this
Yeah.
year. I'm hoping to be there next year, but we'll see. QsCon's the priority. So and they usually are close to each other, but
They are.
anyways, way back, I was there and I went by and I saw some people playing. I saw the rules out and I thought, well, I'll go wander over and see if I can help. And as I wandered over, one person's clearly the designated rule person in the group. And I could tell this one guy who was just checked out. And it's just like waiting the clock until they like come back to teach the rest of them. And I say to him like, hey, do you think your friend might need a hand? He goes, oh, no. We're about to play this shitty game, but hopefully we'll be done real quick. And I was like, ooh, okay, cool. And this is so early. This is like I didn't have Sagrada out, anything.
Oh, sure.
And I was just like, ooh, okay, cool. Well, good luck with that. And started walking away. And I could hear in the background, oh, that's the designer. And everyone at the table being like, oh.
Nice. I love it. I don't know what would have been better had they not ever realized it, or that they then just realized that they shit on your game right in front of you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, was that devastating or was it just kind of funny?
I thought it was hilarious. I was just like, hey.
Because it can be both,
It can be both. And it definitely wasn't, it definitely didn't build me up. That's for sure. There was no me like walking around after that being like,
I made that shitty game.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. That's so good.
Grand Con's actually only about 2 hours from us. And for whatever reason, this is the first year I checked it out.
Oh, wow.
Nice little con. So I plan on going there regularly.
Mike,
so.
is that do they do that at the DeVos Center? Where do they do Grand Con at?
Yeah.
That sounds Center? Right. Yeah.
Okay. Because
I
I just for my daughter's birthday took her to a Grand Rapids Comic-Con just over the weekend.
Yeah.
And I was walking around there going, I wonder if this is where they do Grand Con.
Yep. Yeah, they were there a few years back. I used to go pretty regularly. Again, it's not that far for me either.
Yeah.
And so we would drive down and carpool. It's funny. It's actually part of the Sagrada story because that's where Sagrada got signed.
Oh, hell yes.
Wow.
So,
right
shout out to small cons. Ben Harkins from Floodgate was there. I got just a day pass. We drove down, and I remember it was just me, my wife, and my buddy Tyler, and we were going to drive back the same night because we were broke, and so we were like, all right, well, we'll make it as fun as we can, and we shifted driving duties and played games all day, and all lunchtime on, I kept trying to get meetings to pitch a few games. And people are like, no, this is prime sales time. I'm busy. It's like, I get it. Tried. Finally, like the hours of it ends at like, I don't know, 5, 6 o'clock. So I, kind of lingered around that time. And everyone's like, oh, I just need to grab dinner. I'm tired, but let's chat when I get back from dinner. Like if you see me when I come back, you can pitch me. And so I was like, okay. And I said this to a bunch of people, knowing that I still got to drive back tonight.
Right.
So, I kept checking the watch and being like to Tyler and my wife, like, just a few more hours. Finally, it gets to like 7, 8 o'clock, and they're like, we gotta go. And
it's like a 4-hour drive for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a trek. So I was just like, I'll do the most of the driving. Like I'm trying to convince them all this stuff, and comes in Floodgate, and I had said to a bunch of people, when you get back, I'll pitch you to like 6, 7 companies, and I was really like, whoever's first comes back.
Yeah.
That's my meeting. So sometimes, it's a lot of dumb luck. Ben comes back with, at the time, his girlfriend, Emily. And I say, hey, I want to pitch you this game. And it wasn't Sagrada. I actually made another game based off of, he had, what's the name of that game? It was like Vault Wars. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, Jonathan Gilmour.
Exactly. So John Gilmour made this game that was basically like an auction game of like treasures that, say you went on a quest and you left some of your swords and
storage wars,
but for like fantasy creatures.
Right.
So I made a game about making blinged out shields. And I was like, oh, this could fit the world. You could use the same art. And it was all about being, these fantasy masonries or like, metalwork.
Yeah, artisan. Yeah.
So So I pitch it, and I start pitching, and his girlfriend at the time goes, "Nah, this sounds boring," which is just like,
Oh,
yeah. And she goes, "Do you have anything fun that we could play before I go to bed, and then you can come back to this?" Which is just like, this is already dead in the water.
wow, yeah.
But okay, I'll spoiler. Emily becomes the hero of this story. So I look in my bag, and I'm like trying to just pick something fast, fun. I was like, "Oh, this one's pretty." And she goes, yeah, let's play the pretty one. And it's Sagrada. So I start to play the game. She's having a great time. We finish. She goes, "Oh, I'm going to bed, but I love this." And she goes to bed. I pitch maybe one more game, and then I turn to bed and I go, "Dude, I got to drive home. So, thanks for the time. If you want to talk more, maybe we can call and arrange something another time." Cool. Leave. Next morning, he calls me up. He goes, "Dude, I want to sign that game." I've never had that experience in my life.
Wow.
And I go,
Awesome.
"Well, why?" And he goes, "Well, a few reasons. One, he's like, I dreamed about it. He's like, it was in my dreams. So he's like, it was sticky. It was in my mind all the time that he dreamed about it." I was like, "Oh, okay." Two, he's like, "Oh, like it was really pretty and quick and da-da-da." I was like, okay. I'm like, sure, but like so quick. And he goes, "Well, three, Emily said she'd kill me if I didn't sign it." I was like, "Oh, there it is." So
That's great.
kudos to Emily for having the eye. I had been shot down by so many publishers up to that point. I had 8 major publishers take it and return it up to that point.
I wonder if they were kicking themselves.
Well,
It's
a bunch
crazy
of
to
them
hear
have
these
come back.
stories
Yeah, a bunch of them
of
have
a game
come
that
back.
becomes a really big hit and how many people actually turned it down.
passionately.
That's wild.
Oh, yeah.
So was it when you pitched it? What was the theme? Was it just like making stained glass? Was it Sagrada? Like,
Okay, here we go. Here's the full story.
Let's go.
All right. Yeah. It's funny. The very first time me and Adrian Madamescu, who's my co-designer, we lived down the road from each other, about 15 minutes from each other, and we would get together, I don't know, 2-3 times a week, just working on different ideas. Some worked, some didn't. And he was also working on a PhD. Dude's super smart, super humble, the nicest human you'll ever meet. And he was working on a chemistry PhD. And so every so often when he'd come back, he would try to explain things he was learning. And 95% of the time I'd say, "I don't know what you're talking about. That's
Right.
way too smart." And I think I'm a pretty smart guy. So, they're up there. But he explains to me one week this thing called the 5-color theorem. And I was like, "Oh, that's kind of interesting." And basically, we've all seen it. When you look at like a postal map or whatever, the different zones or areas, there's no 2 colors touching each other.
Right.
And so that became our premise of, okay, well, what if we made a game where no 2 colors could touch each other? And we started with tiles, and then we started thinking, oh, what about if we use dice? And then, oh, well, what if the numbers can't be next to each other as well? And we start riffing, but it's super abstract. It has no theme. Mm-hmm. And finally, I remember saying to him, like, "Dude, this is way too abstract. I would never buy this game. It's super interesting, but it's just like, I would never take this off the shelf." And so we backburnered it. A lot of the times when we hit a wall, we just say, okay, throw it on the back burner, let it simmer. Let's start working on the next exciting idea. So we did that. I ended up going on a trip with my wife to 3 countries. She got a grant to see her job in Switzerland, Italy, and then finally in Spain.
In Spain, right on.
And so we go to these places, and I say this because this happens all the time to me, but whenever you're on a trip and you're just about to come home that last day or two, you start thinking about all the stuff you got to get to.
Yep.
All the like,
it's the worst part.
All the reality
is coming. You're like, stay, I'm not done yet. And I started thinking about that game, like, oh, we got to get back to that game. And as I was thinking about it, I looked up, and I was sitting in the Sagrada Familia, and it was a stained glass window with a bunch of square windows. And I was like, oh, those are the dice. Oh, the game's stained glass. That was it. Boom. It was like so obvious, so easy.
That's amazing.
It was right there the whole time.
I love that, though. That's so cool. That is so cool that
it gave me
divine
chills.
Inspiration, right?
Literally in the spot. So I call up Adrian. I'm like, "Dude, I got it. Start researching stained glass windows, tools, famous people, da da da." And then like within 2 weeks of me being home, we crushed the rest of the design. And
That's
it was like
amazing.
so obvious. So yeah, when we pitched it around, we already had obviously not to production level, but we had a lot of the ideas ahead. There were little things, ironically, that became expansions that we had kind of cooked in the game. And, through the help of, team effort, we parsed it and tried to cook it down. Like you said, the rules are really nice and short. So especially Floodgate did a really good job of trying to like whittle that down.
And I feel like the components, like production wise, right? If you want to get like inside baseball with it, like it's probably a relatively easy pitch to a publisher, easier pitch because it's not as expensive as something that's
Not a
got
bunch of
like
minis,
50 minis, and you need all the scopes. And
you would think that now, but we know too much now. But ironically, the kiss of death by the 8 major publishers that returned it always came down to there's too many dice. Every one of them said, you know what? When people hear it's a dice game, they're going to think it has to be $20 or less. And I was like, no, it's beautiful. It's a main component. It's, don't worry about that. Like in my gut, I knew, we, from our play testing and from just, being with it enough, we were so confident, like this is going to work. Now, did I know it was going to be hit? No, but I just knew this deserved to be published.
Yeah.
And, like my favorite moment was during playtesting, we would have people pull out their phone and take a picture of what they did. And we would always be like, what are you doing? It's just a prototype. And they'd be like, but I built this. I'm proud of it. And we're like, and in hindsight, we're like, oh, look for that more often. But,
no shit, right? That's there's a flag. Here's your sign, right? Like here you go.
Exactly.
Like,
we didn't know it ahead of time, but when it started happening, we're like, oh, that's something to look for now. So it's wild. It's wild to think at that time that people just assume, and it happens all the time, oh, well, that kind of game would never sell. And it was just like, we were just ahead on a trend of like pretty, but a little more expensive game, but people are willing to pay it if everyone's having a good time. Azulden and all those games come out and every one of them's like $40-$50 and you're like, oh, okay, no big deal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Way back in the dinosaur ages of board games,
God.
2017.
Yeah.
2017.
Oh man.
So
spoiler alert, I love Sagrada and I hated Azul. I shouldn't say I hated it. I think Azul is fine. I think Azul is fine, but it was way overrated. I enjoyed Sagrada way more just for what it was.
I like Sagrada, but I had a hard time playing it because of my color blindness. So I literally had to go through and took a black marker and blacken the pips on some of the dice.
We did. That's what we did to our copies.
I like playing it with Bob because I got a better chance of winning. Yeah. But we're gonna use my copy.
I don't know reason my copy.
we had a little mat that we just put the colors on and we pushed the dice onto the mat whenever it was.
Yeah, agree. I'll always take dice rolling over everything else. So your Sagrada story is a perfect opportunity to transition to your other passion, which is traveling, which is a shared passion of mine. And this has actually turned into a podcast for you. How did this come about?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, I look back and I can kind of see I was always hooked on travel. Travel has always been something that, I would foolishly blow my money on and be broke on a regular basis. And then when I started dating my wife, she thought it was ridiculous and said travel is a waste of money. And I said, well, you just haven't been traveling right. So I slowly convinced her by taking her on some cool trips that it was worth it. But I never had a job that it really made sense for. And then I actually, long story short, I met Eric Lang. Eric Lang's a Toronto game designer. And as I got to know him better, he would tell me all these cool trips he'd go on. And I'd go, why or how? And he'd go, well, for me, he described it in such a perfect way. He goes, if your life is a video game, what's your win condition? And he said, one of my win conditions is getting to travel and it not making me broke. And I thought, well, that makes a lot of sense. So it wasn't my only reason for game design, but it was in the back of my head going maybe that would be possible. And then I realized one of the big, successes for me was getting in front of people going, it wasn't sexy, far exotic places. I mean, it was Grand Rapids, but, like getting to go to, a little outside of my bubble started making it more and more possible. And so I started with going to shows that I could drive to. Maybe I volunteer somewhere so I keep my bills down or whatever. But just getting to do that was really satisfying. And it also became like a way for me to be inspired. I found, just seeing and being near different cultures, different folk, hearing stories, that just opened my mind to just so many kind of inspirations, gave me the bandwidth. It's like, I say to people, like, some of my best ideas are usually in the bathroom or the shower. Same thing, just like driving on the road, driving for a few hours, like ideas start to percolate. And so travel has become like a really important incubator and inspiration point to a lot of what I do, a lot of how I can be creative.
That's awesome.
And then just recently, you alluded to, I have just started. I am in the baby steps, nowhere close to 2 years of starting a show, a very small audience show with my friends Corey Thompson and Benita Carr, called Nerd About. We've just filmed our 9th episode, and the whole idea is that we make an episode centric to a city. So we just filmed with Isaac Vega and talked to him about Dallas. We were just at Board Game Geek, and so we use that as an excuse to ask him what's cool about Dallas, and then we share some of our geeky research of things to do, places to see, our favorite restaurants. I love good food and good drinks, so we mentioned some of our favorite bars and restaurants, and it's just like an hour show of us just, shining the spotlight on cool cities. We did, as you can see there, Stephen Bondicore was on our last episode.
There you go.
Florida. We had Elizabeth Hargraves on. We talked about Washington, D.C., etc. So we're just in the early steps of finding our voice and finding our rhythm and finding our audience. And it's just an excuse to celebrate some of the stuff that we found along the way. Our goal is to put out, some little guides so that when people go to conventions, they can also check out a guide to some of the cool spots to find in each city and all that kind of stuff. So we're just kind of building up to that.
Man, well, I mean, obviously you got to do a Gen Con one then, right? Indy's a cool town.
Absolutely. Well, we kind of did it as our episode 0 as a warm up, but we'll do it more properly in the future. But yeah, that's the idea.
Good point, Dave.
Right.
I mean, it would be similar but different.
It's this cool shower curtain I had,
Right.
I love the premise of this show. The guys are going to make fun of me for referencing Alaska again, which I visited last year. And
check your bingo card. Mike went to Alaska. Hey guys, remember that? Remember that
it's
time?
It's one of the most beautiful places I've seen in my life, but because of that, I need to see more glaciers. And now my priority number 1 is Iceland.
We got an episode on that.
I know you do. So that is, that's a place I have to visit.
Iceland is the most incredible place I have ever been. It is another world. It is literally. We landed. I rented a car, and as I started to drive, I legitimately thought I was on an alien planet. It is just so different looking, with like volcanic rocks and steam, wild horses and puffins, and waterfalls everywhere. So
Mike hates waterfalls.
Yeah. Well, what Mike really hates is elevation changes.
Well, you're going to see a glacier melting into a waterfall. Like it's insane everywhere. Just everywhere you go.
It's everything I want in geography. I have to go to this place.
It is magical. It's been on my hit list for like 20 years, and I finally did it. I did it on my way to Essen this year. And
amazing.
It inspired a game for me. I have a game that I just started to pitch. I pitched it for the first time actually about a week and a half ago. My working title is Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls.
I was going to say, tell me it's a TLC inspired.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a very simple card game. Every card has in short, you make a little waterfall in front of you. But if you can't add to your waterfall, then you can throw it in the lakes or the rivers that you're used to.
I was just gonna say, can I? You beat me to it.
This.
So good.
All right, guys, I dropped the link in the chat here. Make sure you sub to this channel here. As you can see, I've already done that.
Mike, you got to let me go. I got to go burn down Reggie Miller's house real quick. Here's a sports reference if you're of a certain age.
I love it.
That was Andre Rison's house, damn it.
Doesn't matter. It was still an Indiana Pacer, wasn't it?
All right. Fair. That was an Indianapolis Colt, but I'll allow it.
Listen, Indianapolis sports teams. Yeah, Rison was a Colt. What am I thinking? Why did I think it was?
He was.
I thought it was a Pacer.
I don't know. That's all right. Good stuff, man.
I cheered for the Pacers during the playoffs last year because you got my boy Siakam.
Oh, right on.
Oh, yes. We love ourselves some Siakam.
Oh, he's so good.
That dude's great. He's perfect for a small market. He's not going to run for one of the coasts.
No, and
Siakam.
He's so happy. Like the dude will never stop smiling.
Yeah, he's a great player, has no weaknesses. He's very good at everything. Great teammate, great leader, awesome distributor. Love that guy as a Pacer.
Yeah. I'm happy for him, but I miss him. It was fun to cheer for him. It was fun.
He's a great player. So I guess eventually we got to talk about some board games, don't we?
Oh my God. I mean, we kind of have been talking about it, but
absolutely.
We did
love your passions, man. We share a lot of them. It's great to have you on. But we got to do some pick up and deliver games.
Yeah, we do. I will first off confess, and I know you guys haven't played Mistwind, so it's not a suck up move. I have traditionally disliked a lot of pickup and delivery games, so that is what inspired the design of Mistwind.
Make one you like, right?
Yes, that was like
hell yeah.
I was like, well, if it's not working for me, let's dive in and try to see what's possible. And I did one a long time ago. It's funny. It's on my desk because we were talking about Cowboys doing the Dallas episode just recently. But I did one pickup and delivery game that was based on an old video game.
Oh, right? Mike's favorite game.
I notoriously hate the Pressman game, the original Pressman game.
The small card game. Yes.
And if you rescued that, I've got to try it.
You have to. This is the rescue project. So they literally
that first one.
Oh, it was horrible. Like
it's the worst game I've ever played in my life.
Worst game you've ever played, and it is. And you know what's super funny? They came over while I was working at IDW Games doing some consulting, and they said, "Do you really think it's horrible?" We had this video, and I said, "Yeah, it's horrible." And they were like, "Oh wow, thanks for being honest with us. What would you do?" And I pitched this game, and they were like, "Oh, that sounds better." I said, "There is." I felt bad.
You're like, I literally could have pitched a dog turd on a plate that would have been better.
There was no, I was kind of like, I can't do worse. So you covered it. But they took this, and ironically, this game is one of my highest selling games because it still sells around the world. It just, it's not a huge game, but it just keeps selling. Like
the IP alone, right? And it's like, oh, can I have the not shit one? Like,
right,
thanks.
Exactly. It's like, don't buy the crappy one. But the whole thing is you're journeying from one side to the other, delivering your family members. And my favorite little mechanic that I did with it is in your little ride, you'll notice right here, your family are dice.
Nice.
And so they have 1 to 5 for their health. So as they're getting sick, you need to deal with that.
They're ticking
down. And then what's the 6th side? That is a little rest in peace gravestone. And you bury them along your trail and leave them behind.
That's metal, dude. I love that. That's so good. Real quick, I just have to ask, because has there been one game that you like were looking at and you were like, this game sucks and it's terrible, but then it turned out to be super popular? Do you have one that you
actually all the time? I think actually, if I think a game's horrible, it's probably going to be a smash hit. And the biggest and perfect example, I've been lucky. I've gotten to play test a lot of games before they came to market, and some of them it's like,
oh sure,
I gave good advice. Like it was funny. I got shown code names before,
oh yeah, love it.
And actually, when it was originally shown to me, the publisher asked me to help find a publisher that would maybe want it. and it was by CGE, like it was their own game, and they were like, but we don't make those kind of games, so show it around. And then within 2 days, I went back to them because we had played it like crazy, and I was like, I don't think you should sell this thing. And they're like, oh no, we're not, forget that. So just 2 days worth of at a con of them realizing. But on the flip side, for instance, like I played Terraforming Mars. You didn't like it? Oh, I hate that game. And yet, that was the kiss, the blessing, because that game is a smash hit. So
yeah, that game is one of the reasons Bodicor was able to retire.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. That's life changing. And I just was like, oh, this game's on the rails. This just rewards like someone picking the right combo that they luckily drew. And nope, people love it.
Daryl, you listen, both things can be true.
Sure.
You are not wrong, and yet people love it. I think Terraforming Mars is fine.
Yeah.
I prefer to play it solo because other people make that game take too long for me.
Oh, yeah, and
that's my problem. Yeah, that's my problem.
I usually hate when a game goes really long too. So that just that's just the nature of
it, and it depends on the game. If I'm engaged, if that game, because Bob and I, we played like a 5-hour war game, a Song for War. It's not out yet. I love it, but it's basically 2 or like 4 players. You either play as a team or you play, but you're engaged the entire time, and you also have to kind of be into it, right?
Yeah,
you need a couple of things like that.
Absolutely.
But if I'm sitting and playing, for example, like Darwin's Journey for 3.5 hours, and I know within the first hour that I'm losing this game because I made horrible mistakes.
Yeah, now you're stuck.
It's like, screw this.
Yeah,
like I'm out. Like this is terrible.
Totally.
So
it's like that saying where like you can't believe how fast the time went by. A game can be long and not feel long, but if it feels long.
The minute starts feels long.
Yeah.
Now, I personally am bothered by this, so I'll be bothered for you. So you don't have to say anything if you don't want to. But Mistwind and Mistwind is tough, and I will tell you, without having played Mistwind, but having played Mistwind, I bet you Mistwind is better.
Oh, I didn't like that one that much.
That's fair. Well, okay. Well, then I got a full circle for you.
Okay.
So this is a funny moment. I just got hired to make a character for Mistwind.
Yeah, let's go.
He's gonna fix Mistwind.
I'm not promising anything. Honestly, I just think it's kind of a really funny full circle because people kept confusing them.
100%.
And I'm
like, which one has the flying whales?
Yeah, and they're both pretty, and they both kind of got the same vibe. I didn't have any connection to Mistwind. I'm not a solo gamer, so that just like to me that game is it's multiplayer, but it's like multiplayer solo.
It is,
and a lot of people really love that you can play by yourself. I rarely gravitate to that. The only reason I even have a solo the Dark Knight Returns is a solo design game.
Yes, I was gonna.
We designed that over COVID. We had no playtesters, so we were like, okay, well, let's make a solo game. We can playtest it like crazy, but like that's not my natural.
Right. I like to be at a table with people and like yelling and cussing.
That's
at
my
people.
excuse, right? It's like I want face-to-face time. The beauty is like Adrian made our Sagrada solo mode. I made the 5-6 player expansion. Like, what do we gravitate to? What are our strengths? Obviously, we play test everything, but that's just like the ways we lean. And so, Mistwind, when the opportunity came up, they asked me to make a character. I thought, wow, this is hilarious. And they asked me if I could recommend anyone. I recommended Nikki Valens. who I think is one of the best character creators ever. And so they're making one. And then I said, well, if I make one, I definitely need to recruit a co-designer that knows this world and loves it. Mm-hmm. And I found out that, do you know Jenna Rose, like from Board Game Garden? She's a content creator, and she has made like the most videos for it. And I was like, and she used to be in my game group. I used to live about 30 minutes from her house. I just recently moved back to Toronto, but I was just outside of Toronto, closer to Karen. And when I was out there, Jenna would come for game nights. Karen. I love Karen. I miss her a lot. So then when we were jamming about it, I said, well, let's get Jenna on the project. And I will confess, like, Jenna is the driver of knowing what works in that world, like that fandom. Sure. So I lean on her expertise there. And I feel like I'm more like, hey, from the game mechanics standpoint, from the, design behind this, behind the scenes, I'm leaning more on that. So I think we have some pretty cool ideas, but we'll see how it cooks out. It may not fix it for some people, but our hope is that it gives it another experience, another adventure.
Listen, it is beautiful. I'm really glad I got to play it, but I think it was not sold to me in the right way.
Yeah.
I came in, pitched a different thing than what I feel like I put on the table. Well, and so sometimes you can kind of mess with people's expectations. Right?
Expectations are huge.
Deck builder.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Or I'm sorry, trick taker.
Right.
Like, people say Arcs is a trick taker, and it's like,
is it? It feels like a big game, and that's a little bit of it. So it's like,
that's like one part. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think the biggest thing that is like the aha moment for me, and the way I describe that game to set the expectation, is I think it's a cozy game. This whole language about cozy and like grindy in a weird way. Like, it's a lot.
I don't associate cozy and grindy is my problem, because I heard it pitched as cozy, and I'm watching Mike pull his hair out trying to learn the rules for his character.
I think those two things are synonymous. I don't want them to be, because cozy to me is actually like a trick taker. Like, to me, it's like I can just sit back, relax, and like do my turn and talk. Like, that's what I thought cozy was. But what I'm learning is it's more like that video game that you just keep, maintaining. And so I describe that as grindy. Other people are like, oh, that's cozy for me. Like, that's me taking care of my garden. That's me taking care of like my quest. And I go like, oh, okay. Like, there's a crowd for that.
What's crazy is, it's funny because Daryl, you the way you described it is like cozy would be a game that I know so well.
Right.
Also, like low rules overhead, because it's very easy, right? So like, Bob, prepare your eye roll, but like DC Deck Builder is like a cozy game for me because it's very easy. I can sit back, I draw the cards, I know them all. I know, like, I'm just throwing down my hand. I know what I'm buying out of the lineup. Like, when it comes up, I know what I can get. Boom, boom, go. Same thing with trick takers. Like good real trick taking games. It's like, well, I already know what I'm gonna have to play. I know what I'm gonna throw. And it's like, if Mike throws high, I'm gonna throw this. If he throws low, I'm gonna throw this. Boom, boom. Like, it's this or that.
Totally.
Boom, relax.
One of my newest tools. You know how I mentioned the taking the photo kind of idea when you're watching a playtest?
Mm-hmm.
Like, anyone, please check out Jenna's channel. It's gorgeous. She's a gamer. She loves a variety of games. It's definitely worth checking out. Now, if you ask me what the channel was,
Board Game Garden.
There it is, Board Game Garden. Thank you. It's awesome. But yeah, so if you ask me what I watch for when I'm playtesting the most now, when it comes to body language, is leaning in or leaning back, and yet neither are a good thing or a bad thing, depending. If a person's leaning in but they're agitated, they might be leaning in because they just don't understand. They're frustrated. They're trying to figure it out. It's too much. And there might be actually like a term I use is a flow channel. You want people to be engaged, but you don't want them too stressed, too tense. And on the flip side, you don't want people totally checked out, where they don't feel any tension. Mm-hmm. And so I'm constantly trying to, if I can, manipulate the player into both. I want moments where you're leaning in, you're yelling, you're interacting, whatever. And there's moments that I want you to lean back and go like, oh, I can cruise for a minute or two. Like, my brain knows what I want to do. I've already started my combo, and now I get to enjoy it. And so,
that's awesome. That's really interesting also to hear like people like you, like your insight, right? Like things that you're looking for, things that are throwing up those flags, for engagement, because I think as a enjoyer of games and not a designer of games, and by talking to designers and developers and stuff, it's like, oh yeah, like you were just putting words to the feelings I was already having, right?
Absolutely.
So that's pretty cool. That's very cool. I will say, like Ready, Set, Bet, right? Like when it's going, I'm leaning forward, and then there's that. Okay, collect all the money.
Yeah.
How badly did I do?
Rest. Yeah. Lick the
ramp
wound.
back up.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, I'm gonna bring it back to the
Mike.
pick up and deliver game.
Do it.
Really high praise here from Blackboard.
That
it's his game of the year.
Wow.
Also, I had mentioned to the guys that pick up and deliver is one of my least favorite mechanics. So I thought it was interesting that you said the exact same thing, because a lot of times when we do these lists on mechanics, I'll have 10, 15 games. I got to pare them down. Half of them are in my top 50.
Yeah.
One of these games is in my top 50. It's not my favorite mechanic at all. Not even.
I stopped writing at 12.
Okay.
Yeah, so me too. I said at 10. I was like, I got 10 good ones. I'll pick 5.
Now, like 1 or 2 of them, I'm getting a little cute with it. Just gonna say they're alternatives in case there's crossover.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that is the confession, is that me and Adrian both. I mean, Adrian doesn't mind as much, but I kind of really dislike the category because it's so prescriptive. Like it's so like, okay, let's do that again, and so I just kind of tune out. I feel like, it feels a little bit like rinse, wash, repeat. Like I'm doing the dishes, and so I'm just like, I don't want to keep doing the same thing. So that was a big deal for the design of Mistwind. Was we were like, well, it's not going to just be pickup and delivery. I think part of the solution to pickup and delivery is mixing it with other interesting mechanics. So then when it's a hybrid, it actually can serve a nice purpose and it makes sense. So I think that's one of my big takeaways. And when I look at my list, I go like, oh yeah, the ones I like are usually a mixture.
Well, and anymore now, right? You've got to find ways to get creative with that because all of those mechanics have been done 1,000 times.
Exactly.
Right?
So it's now comboing, right? Like to me, I look at it as it's just like cooking. You're not going to invent an ingredient, but you're going to maybe combo it in a fun way. You're going to cook it up in a different style. So that's a major factor for us when we made Mistwind. And then the other thing is, I think the pacing of the game has to change. So the biggest thing that we did in Mistwind that I think was the aha moment is, I think is a really cool worker placement number system that feels a little fresh. And I love worker placement. So that felt good. And then as you're doing the pickup and delivery, it ramps up. So your speed of your vehicle, which in our game is Wales, which is hilarious and fun, is that at the start, you're just putting along and maybe you get to here or there once in a while and pick up and deliver. But your last few turns, you pull off massive moves. And that's because along the way of the game, you're building these towers. And the beauty is every tower you build, you're allowed to move through that. You're route building. And so as you do that, all those spaces you can move through for free. And so sure, the first 1 or 2 helps you a little bit, but by the end of the game, when you have this huge route, you just fly.
And that feels good, right?
Feels
awesome. Really good.
Yeah. And so, like the game, actually, we shortened it significantly because you feel like you do so much that we were able to kind of chomp off like a whole round of the game because it ramped up so well.
That's awesome. It's funny. It was, I don't remember if it was Origins or Gen Con of 23. Sam Stockton from BA Games said to me, Tim, you need to go check out that Flying Whale game. And every time I went over to that booth, it was freaking packed and I never got to check it out.
Yeah.
But that is testament to the power of like what you guys were doing over there.
Yeah.
I mean, the artwork alone.
Oh.
I mean, that freaking artwork, that box cover, right? We talk about that all the time, about games having like badass box covers. Yeah. And great games with bad box covers, it might take me 3 or 4 years to get to if I ever get to it.
Yeah.
You know, and then I played so many games with amazing box art, you know, because it's but bad games with amazing.
Yeah, so many crappy games with awesome box art.
Yeah, and it's like, oh well, this looked cool.
I give a massive shout out both to Stephanie, the owner at First Fish Games. She hustled, like they are tiny, and yet, like you said, they managed to always have people at the booth checking it out, play testing it. Like when I came over, could barely get their attention because it was always busy.
That booth was packed, and that's awesome. I love that. That's so exciting.
It was super exciting to see because I will confess, I was not quick to sign. You know, like I will confess that, you know, sometimes it's tempting to try to sign your game with a big publisher.
Right.
And so, ironically, Stephanie actually tried to sign that game 3 times. So I actually had that game. Originally, when I pitched it, she overheard me pitching it to another company. And she came over and said, hey, if they don't go for it, I'd be interested. Well, that publisher signed it. It sat with them for a bit. Then it got reverted back to us. Then in that time, we rethemed it. We showed it to another publisher. They signed it. It got reverted back to us. We did that 3 times to 3 pretty major publishers. And then finally we were like, both Adrian and I were like, why don't we just go back to Stephanie? Like she was all in from the start. She already wanted it. Why do we keep chasing like these scenarios when we know someone? And the other thing was she showed us some sketches. So her partner is actually the artist.
Wow.
And Gordon showed us some of the sketch work even from the beginning. And we kept thinking, well, that looks amazing. And he kept evolving the world and evolving the world. When we finally came back, he already had tons of the art done. He was already like, I'm ready.
Dude, slam dunk, no brainer. Holy shit. That's awesome. Well, I guess we need to talk about pick up and deliver games.
Yeah. I'd say it's kind of funny where here we are after an hour. You think Googs was on.
Well, yeah, no doubt. Because with Googs and I did, what did we do? A 6-hour show one time?
Yeah, it was ridiculous. I was working.
And it was 5 hours.
3 in the morning, you were still going.
Yeah, and it was 5 hours before we got to the list. So, Daryl, bad news for you, dude. You're going to have to come on and hang out with us again.
I would love that.
Because I
keep doing it.
I just want to keep bullshitting with you and hearing the stories. I love it. I love this. Okay, cool. So Mike, bless your heart. You're trying so hard. No. Let's go,
all
dude. It is all good stuff, but let's go. Let's do it.
I know. I'm the segue guy, so it's not that I don't love the stories.
No,
but,
you got it. Everyone's got a role, right?
I got a segue.
Somebody's got to keep things moving here, but I'm with Tim. We got to have you back on again. So
I love it. I love it.
We start with Bob. We end with me. We start with our number 5. It is our top 5 pickup and deliver games. Bob, what you got? You know what? Let's do this. Hold on. Yeah.
Wait, what? I got my 5 ready too. So
yeah,
I'm with you.
No, I know what Mike's gonna do, but I love that he queued up Bob and then interrupts Bob to stop. Yeah. Okay, Bob, go.
Can I finish?
Nope.
Are you gonna do the counter? Or are you just gonna let me go?
Let's do it.
I love this so much. All right.
Lord, beer me strength.
Come on,
who? It's Wednesday. Lord, whiskey me strength, I guess.
There you go.
It's like we used to be notorious for killing an hour before we get into the topic.
Here you go.
I had to start time stamping our live shows because of this. So
listen, Dave, I don't know if you heard it earlier, but I was on Jeopardy for a reason. I'm just saying.
It wasn't his look
scrub, all right.
That's coming. That's coming.
It's coming.
All right. So anyways, my number 5, I will need a little bit of help with this one from Tim because I only played it the one time, but I loved the theme so much. And it's got pick up and deliver mechanisms in it, but it's called Fast Sloths.
It's on my list. But I'm crossing it off of my list because I have plenty to talk about.
Nice. But no, I think it was fantastic. Like you're putting out these different like animals because you're a sloth, you're lazy, but you're trying to get to all these different like food things, and so you're using like other animals to get you to the trees that have all the food.
It's Friedman Freeze, and the thing being picked up and delivered is you because you're a sloth.
You're slow and lazy, and you're using like the elephants and like the like the zebras and whatnot. And you're just
Yes.
trying to get yourself taken to wherever the food's at, and
Around
you're being dropped
around
off,
this
so you can
resort.
pick up the
Yes.
food and eat it, and yeah, pick me up and deliver me. There you go.
That's awesome.
Deliver me unto food, please. That is
I got
an
it.
amazing theme.
It's right over there on my shelf. I love it.
Nice.
It's a green box by Fortune and Glory. Fast slots.
I've been hunting for this game. I've been told it's great, and Friedman for me is like 50% awesome and 50% experiments that didn't go right. So
Sure.
And
yeah, no, I had a great time playing this one. I wish I owned it. I wish Tim would bring it to a Meeple meetup once in a while so I could get it played. But it's a lot of fun. It's kind of cheeky, and like I said, just the whole premise that you're a lazy sloth trying to be taken to your food because you don't want to walk there.
So good.
And it's just hilarious.
Who doesn't love sloths?
You're not wrong. This is not easy to find, and
No.
all the English copies are expensive, which means it's hard to find.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been hunting. I mean, even BGG does their marketplace the one day. This was the game I was looking for.
Yep.
Yeah, I learned about this game because of the show. When we first started our show, we would do like a news segment on like upcoming games and things like that. And this was one I talked about because I was like, I don't know what this is. I love the theme. Friedman Freeze. He's very much like you said, he's very big swings. You know,
Yeah,
it's either a home run,
a
home run, or it's like, well, that was really unique, you know, but I appreciate what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
I feel like Fast Sloths works really well.
Have you played Fishing, his newest game?
No, I haven't.
It is my favorite game of the year.
Wow.
Wow.
If you
Jason has been talking this one up.
If you like trick taking, it's over.
I'd love me some trick taking.
This
So
is
let's
your
go.
game. This is your game. I guarantee it. Guarantee.
Now don't do the thing where you're like, this is a trick taking game, but then it's Cat in a Box, and it's really not a trick taking game.
No, this is trick taking with a twist that will blow your mind.
Okay, I'm in.
I'm in. Love the theme.
There it is.
You said fishing?
Fishing.
I'm writing
Yeah, this one, Tim.
Okay, I'm writing it down.
Write it down. It is my easiest recommendation. I have even recommended this to people that I know are not Trick Taker fans, and they have become fans.
No, because again, like trick taking is such a good mechanic because apropos of the upcoming holiday for us, in the US, right? Thanksgiving. Families get together. And if I am going to pitch a game to non-gamers, right, or lighter gamers, and I go, this is trick taking.
Yeah.
Like we're in the Midwest. Everybody's played euchre and spades.
Oh yeah.
You know, like we got it. Like you already kind of know how to play this game. Like I will just give you the details for this one.
Right.
Hell yes.
Waiting on this to be available. Pre-order on most of the big sites.
It could be anytime. I will say this. A few people had copies on them at BGG, and I witnessed multiple people get into bidding wars to buy people's copies.
Wow.
Because they were like, I name the price, I will buy it.
Right.
I had multiple people offering ridiculous amounts to people. And I know my buddy Corey Thompson, he does the Dice Tower News.
Right.
Originally bought 15 copies at Essen, and they're all sold already.
Wow.
I mean, your cheapest version right now is $30 on BGG. So
Did you see that weight? It's like 1.63. That's a low rules overhead.
Very low.
I will just wait the 5 minutes for this game to come out.
Do you want the teach? Do you want
yeah. Hell yeah, give it to me.
It'll whenever it shows up, it'll be like $10. So like just wait. But because it is literally just like a couple decks of cards. But how it plays out is the deck is stacked intentionally. There's an A deck, B deck, C deck, etc. And you take the top of the deck, you dish out people cards, you play a trick-taking game. It's just a 4-suited high card wins. The cards you win in the tricks, you put them in your net because you've caught them. And then the cards in your net are worth 1 point each for a card. Simple, basic. Say your hand is 10 cards. Say I win 8 cards at the end of a bunch of tricks. My next round, I take my 8 cards. They're in my hand now. So everyone knows what cards are in my hand, and I take 2 cards off the top of the deck.
Nice.
And the cards coming off the deck are better. So the person who won 0 tricks gets 10 of those cards off.
Gets all the better cards. That's
and
fantastic.
you play round after round
Okay.
of, do I want to win or do I want to lose so I can get those killer cards?
Right.
I love this already.
And the cards in the
This
deck
sounds
are
great.
things like, there's a Trump suit that's not even in the basic deck because he loves green, so the green cards are buried in the deck. Or there's buoy cards that you can just play a buoy and it just does crazy things depending on the different buoys. Like you can name the suit the next trick. You can steal one of the cards that was played. Like all these different moments that you're just like, oh, but you're learning it as you play. So the teacher's just trick taking, and we'll teach you some new cards as they come up.
That's freaking brilliant.
That is.
Daryl over here increasing my wish list.
Woo.
At least this one's affordable. If you
Yeah,
wait.
no doubt.
If you wait,
Right.
it'll be.
If you wait.
One of these cheap card games, it's just a no-brainer. I'll just pull the trigger because the theme or art looks good.
Yeah. All right. Hell yeah. That's awesome.
Sorry, I took us off the
Nope.
topic.
We're still on the Friedman Freeze train, which brings us back to Fast Sloths, which is a really good pick up and deliver with a fun twist, right? Because you are the thing being picked up,
delivered. Yeah.
being delivered,
That's cool.
which is hilarious.
I gotta play
Okay,
that one too.
so I'm going to go real left field with mine. I'm going to go very literal. Very literal. This was a game that I bought at a Geekway to the West years ago. Bob, you've played this game with me, and it's super fun, but you were literally picking up an object from a bowl and putting it into your bowl. And I'm talking about Chopstick Dexterity Challenge 3000, whatever the hell the name of this, the official name of this game is. I don't even know that I've ever played this game the correct way. But you flip over a tile, that's a piece of sushi that you're trying to get. That's the one. And you then now have chopsticks, and everybody's digging out of this bowl in the middle, and you're trying to grab that wooden piece and pick it up and then deliver it to your bowl for the points.
Yeah,
this is literally the most basic and not intended interpretation of pick up and deliver. But I thought this would be fun to put on the list. This is a really fun, weird, little obscure game. But people always stand up and yell and shout when we play this, and gets a really good reaction. My in-laws even bought little chopstick holders.
Nice.
The little rubber things. I've got a ton of them in my game box so that when we play, if somebody's like, well, I don't know how to use chopsticks, it's like, we'll put these things on. And we still go, and everybody's yelling, and everybody's having a good time, and we just kind of play until we're done playing. This game's super fun and stupid and whatever. I bought it. I've gotten my money's worth out of it, like a million times over. I've had this. How old's that game? What years did it say that game came out? Oh my gosh, I had this game for forever. It doesn't say on the thing that I can see.
2006.
Okay, well, I haven't had it that long, but I probably had it since 2013 or 2014.
I remember you getting that at a Geekway. Probably
when we started going to Geekway.
2014 or something.
Yeah, and we played the hell out of it. I mean, it's just everybody standing around yelling.
Yeah, I remember the Jubies were all over that.
Oh, they were crazy for it, right? And so again, I got my in-laws to play it. We're playing the hell out of this game, and every once in a while, I just bring it to a con, or a meetup. Board game night. And it's like, all right, let's just get a little crazy for a few minutes. And, everybody's yelling and shouting, and the whole thing's going. And I love it.
Other.
Yeah. And everybody's all worked up for a few minutes, gets the blood pumping. Hell yeah. But you're literally, technically it's not a pick up and deliver, but I am picking it up and I'm delivering it to my bowl. So I'm saying that it counts. And I knew it wouldn't be on anybody else's list.
Tim's cannibal pick.
Yeah, it's my When we did Daryl, we did a top 5 food games, and everything I had where people were the food.
Nice.
And now I'm a cannibal for some reason. I don't get it.
Now he's on a list.
Now I'm on a list.
Yeah,
doesn't get it. Yeah, so weird.
So, anyways, that's my number 5. I passed the turn to Daryl.
All right. Well, my number 5 is a bit of an older game. I'm sure I'm butchering on how you say it. It's a city in Italy called Cinque Terre or Cinque Terre.
Okay.
CINQUE space TERRE.
See,
CINQUE.
Yeah, Synctera, right?
Synctera, sure. I don't know how you say it with an Italian, accent.
Like you're a Viking.
Yeah, you gotta go like
yeah,
this.
you
You do this, you go
Then people
Synctera.
know.
Hey.
Yeah, there it is. It's a really beautiful, bright colored game. It's out of print and it's still like well regarded. It's actually so Chris Handy, the designer of it, makes all those little Paco games. If you've seen all those little they look like they're Wrigley gum packs. But this was the game that he originally made that I think was his first game in the market. He also made a real long shot, which was a really fun.
Long shot's
game.
good. Yep.
Yeah. But the whole idea here is if you show the map, if you click on a board picture, is you're going around is really it's pretty straightforward. Yeah, any of those, and the different areas have the different foods you need, and you're basically just driving around the different areas with the dice, collecting the resources you need to kind of fulfill these recipes. It seems basic, but it's a ton of fun. It's really, really satisfying. So that one, it doesn't outstay its welcome. It has almost like a Ticket to Ride vibe because you're picking up the cards, which then when you drive there, if I have 3 tomatoes, I can pick up 3 tomatoes all at once. So it's like this push and pull of how often do I take cars, how often do I move and deliver things, and try to pull off the best job.
I love it. Come with the deep cuts, man.
Deep cuts.
Some of these out of print Rio Grande games are just sleeper hits, man.
Sleeper. I mean, it's just a really satisfying game. So here's your little player board, and you're delivering, and you get bonuses. It's just it's real classic Euro.
I know nothing about this, and I am just thoroughly intrigued.
Yeah, plus look at those trucks. How awesome are those trucks?
Right? Nice.
As the resident hipster on this show, I appreciate that pick.
Thanks.
That's a good one. Yeah. Your cheapest copy is $160 out of print. Woo!
Yeah.
Wow.
A little hard to get. So if you see it out there, someone who's just getting rid of it, pick it up.
No kidding. Man, okay. All right. My number 5 is one I actually expect to cross over with Tim, and he's going to have to cross it off.
That's fine.
Like I said, my options are not. I didn't have a ton of picks on this list. It's not my favorite mechanic. And it's actually been years since I've played this game, and it has its flaws. But my number 5 is Zaya Legends of a Drift System.
This could have been my number 1, Mike. I love
it.
This
on my short list, but I figured somebody would have it on theirs. So.
Really fantastic game. It's really more like a 3X game, and the fact that a 3X sandbox game, honestly, where you're just kind of going around, and you are one aspect of it is that you are able to pick up goods from one system and then deliver them to another system. The only issue was before that expansion came out was that you could just keep delivering them to the shortest route.
Yeah.
And then they realized that and they made an expansion to fix that.
Totally.
And then
come on, it's a 10-year-old game or more.
Yeah,
there's different standards then.
Fixed it, though. They made it a variable market. If you deliver that good, it lowers its value. Our group house ruled that you couldn't deliver the same good to the same other planet. You had to deliver it somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that really did fix the game for us. But otherwise, Zaya is fantastic. Just the ability to upgrade your ship's movement, its hauling capacity. You can go out and you can kill pirate ships. It really was like the first sandbox that I played.
You had me at pre-painted minis.
Yeah, those ships are pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was one of those the first kind of sandbox sort of games that I played, but it's still a great game 10 years later. So it was definitely one of the first ones I thought of for this category.
Yep.
Yep, great game. I love this game. I know it's a little flawed, but I think the problem is most games now, right? Like older games, are gonna feel flawed or imperfect because things have been improved, so much, or mechanics have been built upon, and now you're like, well, now it's better because of this combination. It's like anything, right? Older movies can feel like homework if you go back and watch them, but you can still love them for what they were. Zaya is amazing. I love Zaya. Always will. It will stay in my collection for forever.
Just for fun, I'm gonna look at how long it's been. It's been almost 10 years since I've played this game. But again, it's not my favorite mechanic. There was a limited amount of stuff I wanted to draw from for this one, but Zaya stands out. I'd love to play it again.
Yeah, it's and one of the things I appreciate about Zaya is you can choose how long of a game you want to play by setting that, infamy track or fame track, whatever it is, and you're good. So
yeah, for everything that's going on with this game, you can definitely make it a reasonable length, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, get her, mister.
All right, so I guess we are.
You got to throw the 4 up for Bob.
We're back to Bob with our number 4.
Number 4. My number 4, I love the aesthetic of this game, and I love the little inventory polyomino puzzle you're trying to do.
Dude, I'm gonna check another one off my list.
Yeah, try to load as many goods into your wagon as you can before you run off into the darkness. But Merchants of the Dark Road has some fantastic components. Like I said, it has that little puzzle you're trying to complete where you're to hold as many goods as you can. You're picking up people to take with you along the way. And I fell in love with this game when we played it. We did a review for it way back in the day. I really enjoy it. Moving around the city, trying to complete all the different things that you can. And it's really good.
Yeah, super pretty good.
On the board, that's super cool.
Yeah.
Oh, Jim's giving us a hard time for going long tonight. Let me just say, this was one of the first times I really, 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 really like this game, and I wish Elf Creek were doing better than what it is, and that's a whole different episode. But this was a very cool moment. I was at Origins with one of our old co-hosts, Dan, and we were walking around, and we saw somebody at the Elf Creek booth, and we're like, oh, Merchants of the Dark Road's really good. We really liked it. And the guy's like, yeah, I know. I really appreciated your guys' video on it. And you've really improved your audio quality. And it was Brian Surrey, the guy who designed it. And we were like, cool, thanks. We had no idea what to do. It was maybe second to BA Games, the second time we had ever been even acknowledged or recognized by a designer. It was very cool for us. But genuinely really like this game. Enjoy this quite a bit.
Yeah, Brian's super talented. And Elf Creek made some really high quality games. So
dude. It's preemptive, but RIP. I really will be sad.
Same. I love the people, and I had a game with them. Me and Adrian had a game that we have to find a new home for. So it's sad times.
Yeah. But yes, the production quality is great. The deluxe components are totally worth it.
Incredible components. Yeah. Art, you name it.
Yep.
Yeah. The art and everything is so good.
Aesthetic.
Okay. All right. So I'll go to my number 4 to keep this moving and not wax philosophical over Elf Creek. But in what better theme for a game that is hard as hell co-op than trying to kill Hitler? And I'm talking about Black Orchestra. Let's go. Secretly a pick up and deliver game, because I
didn't think about that.
You need specific items, and then you need to get to where Hitler is.
I see.
to then try to execute the assassination attempt.
I saw that it was plugged under the pickup and delivery tag, but I was like, really? So
yeah, well, I thought about it a bit, and I'm like, no, it's definitely technically a pickup and deliver.
Yeah.
You
bomb
need to
up and deliver it to this speech.
yeah. Yeah, you need to open your mind as to what you're actually
Times by Mr. DeBerry.
But yeah, this game is freaking excellent. It's hard as hell, which I love in a co-op. I love co-ops that are super difficult, very tense. Again, historically, like all these historical events tied in. It just very cool. I love the theme. I love the art design. There's nothing that the only thing I don't like about this game is that it's so hard to win. And I don't care. I actually don't not like that. I really appreciate a challenging cooperative game, because Bob and I usually can just
whip it.
We whip co-op games like left and right. You want to talk about players leaning back and we're like, we got this. That's Bob and I playing co-ops. I'm as confident in that as I am with me on a trivia game. And this one does not do that. This one smacks you around. It's super fun, and it's a very cool theme, and there's lots of history embedded in there. Black Orchestra, just a great freaking game. And that's my pick up and deliver without being cute about it.
No, it's a great one. I know. That's another example of Phil's family.
Oh yeah, Phil DeBerry,
homeschooling. Philip DeBarry. So they as a family, researched it, and part of his process is including his family and just digging deeper into these different subject matters. And I know Philip shares, I love Bonhoeffer's writing, so I know Philip is a big fan of his as well. So to work him into a game was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yeah, and I what's funny is I picked that not even knowing the relationship, right? Yeah. So very, very cool. But yeah, just such a good game. Man, it's so good. I love it.
Nice. Good pick.
Yeah, another good pick. My number 4, it's funny when this game was shown to me, it wasn't quite signed, or it was signed, but it wasn't published yet. And I was working on a similar theme, and I liked theirs so much, I just stopped making mine. But the game is Wasteland Express Delivery Service.
I've been dying to play this freaking game for years. It's on my wish list. It's a blind buy for me if I can find it at a good price.
It is
dying to this game.
It is an amazing design team. It's John Gilmore, but he also teamed up with Matt Riddle and Ben Pinchback, who ended up now combining with Adam Hill to make Motor City Games. Mm-hmm. And so the killer combo of those three, and then even like all the artists involved were, friends of mine. It was just like a big tag team project. The art's cool. The minis are cool. Like, it's a little fiddly, but it's worth it because it's all these cool bits. Like, they made at least all the components really fun, 3D barrels and all this kind of stuff that like fits in your cool truck. They have these cool trays so you can find everything fast enough, all the upgrades. But it's just a really satisfying. The map is all modular, so when you play from time to time, it's different every time you play. The space between the hexes create like new experiences and new like places to go as destinations. So it's just like a nice big chunky. If I'm gonna play a pickup and delivery game, I want something that's kind of badass, and this is that for me.
Love the theme.
Like lean in. And like I said, I was working on a post-apocalyptic game, and it had pickup and delivery. Ironically, it went full circle. I'll tell you about it later, but it stopped me from needing to make this game. So, dude,
I love that.
My pick.
I love that. What I love is this is a game that has been on my want to play. Like, I will just buy this blindly anyways. Like, if I ever see it, like at a con or something, at like a flea market kind of thing, it's like, give me. I'm dying to get my hands on this game and play it.
Yeah, cool. This theme really hits with all of us, I think. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah. I kept seeing that box for it. It looked interesting, but
well, maybe I'll have to bring it to QsCon. Maybe we'll.
Oh, that'd be a shame, wouldn't
it? Maybe have to do that.
Man. All right, Mike.
All right.
That's a great
Yep.
observation there, Mr. Cole.
Speaking of, yes, that means we need 5 more thumbs minimum. All right. My number 4, 3 of us played at QsCon this year, so let's bring this back. It actually took me a second to realize that this was a pick up and deliver. And I didn't realize how long this game had been out because I played it for the first time this year. It's Deep Sea Adventure from Oink Games.
I wrote this down, Mike.
Also
I wrote
on my
this
short
down.
list.
Oh,
Nice.
this game's so fun. This game is so fun. You're just rolling a couple dice and you're
Yep.
going deeper and deeper into the sea, and eventually you're gonna pick up some stuff. And do you keep
Make it
going?
back up.
It's that push your luck that I love, honestly. It's do you keep going and getting more stuff, or do you go back with the stuff you have and then deliver it to your ship? Man, this game's so good.
Mhm.
Deep Sea Adventure is
Yeah.
my number 4.
I
So I'm
love this
hoping none
game.
of my nieces are watching, but I literally bought this as a Christmas gift for one of them.
Yeah.
Well, I hope your nieces are watching, Bob, because they
Well,
should be.
That's fair. They should.
Spoiler.
Be. They probably aren't. They're probably
No,
We should
that's
at least
cool.
be
they're
subbed,
in
damn
bed
it.
because they have school in the morning.
Oh, that's what it is. They're
They should
college
still
kids
be
now, aren't they?
They are
subscribers.
college kids now. So.
I was gonna say they shouldn't be pounding back the whiskeys at this time of night.
Yeah,
I
they
know.
probably. Yeah. 2 of them probably are. One of them probably isn't.
What's sad is I've known Bob so long, they probably weren't even his nieces when we first became friends.
It's fair. They weren't. Yeah.
Yeah, oh my God, we've been
Yeah,
friends too
we've
long.
been friends longer than they've been my nieces. So.
Amazing.
This game's just so good, man. It's really easy to get to the table. This is a family
Absolutely.
weight game. Anybody can play this. Roll
Yeah.
a couple dice, see how deep you can get, try to get some treasure, bring it back to that ship before you run out of chances, which is when this marker gets to the
That's
end.
an interesting
It's a
setup.
lot
I've
of
never
fun.
seen the board set up that way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I always drown. I'll be honest.
Oh, so same. I
same.
don't think I've ever scored points.
Yeah.
David
Anytime
just-
there's push your luck, I'm just going to keep pushing my luck. Why
Yeah.
not? When it's a 30-minute game, who cares?
Right. And then when I'm losing, I can justify I should push my luck some more.
100%, Daryl. That's how you're doing it right. That's how you know.
I see you've watched us play Flip 7 before. That's great.
I got to tell David, I don't know that my in-law, David, with the same name, has ever watched one of our live streams. So, no, David, you are the better
No.
family member, even
That's
though you're
correct.
technically not related because you watch every week.
He's a whiskey irregular.
Mm-hmm.
This game's so fun, though, man. I love push your luck. I honestly could have put this one higher. It's a ton of fun.
I'm just saying, if you're watching and you're like, ooh, an Oink game, just buy it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to
Seriously.
say, just buy it.
Yeah.
No joke. It's an
That is-
insta buy. You can get it for under $20.
Yeah. And there's no regrets. You will always find a bunch of people that love it.
In
Yeah,
any
that's
Oink
great.
game.
It's like
Any
6
Oink game.
people. Little tiny box, 6 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
6. I'm always looking for games that support 6 that are not just party games.
Yep.
Yep.
This game's a home run. I should have
Yep.
put it higher, but
I'm
Either
so
way, it's
bad
on
at
my
this
list.
game, but I love it. It's really
it's
good.
great. It's
Great
so
pick.
fun.
Great pick.
All right.
Good pick.
All right.
All right,
Who?
Bob. Number 3.
3. So my number 3. So
Hooray.
speaking of like different things that you were talking about earlier about how the pacing, how it ramps up, and it combines different mechanisms together. This one combines engine building with it. It's one of a design by one of my favorite designers. And when I interviewed him, he was surprised that this was the game that I brought up. But Venice is
Oh.
a fantastic
Ooh.
pick up and deliver
Oh,
game. That's got some
Dude,
what?
how did I forget this one?
I don't
That's a
know.
good one.
But it's fantastic. Like, so you're picking up, these little crates and you're delivering them to different places. But then also in the meantime, you're stopping by all these different buildings and you're putting workers on them and you're upgrading your workers. So as you float past them,
Yeah.
you're able to trigger them and get more and more stuff from them as you level them up. And so it has that engine buildy feeling to it. And that board sucks, but they listened to people complaining and they released their Da Vinci expansion, and they fixed the board, and the new board
They
is
did.
beautiful.
Wow.
It looks like the Da Vinci like artwork out of like his notebook. And there's like now there's
Oh.
parking spots
Find it.
for everybody. There's room. Normally you put the worker, you have to put your worker like on the tiles. You have to keep moving it out of the way to see what it does. Now there's actual spots around the buildings to place your workers. And man, they did such a good job like fixing the board, because that was the biggest complaint out of so many of them. But it's such a good game. It's so much fun. My friend Levi, I wouldn't say he broke it, but man, that dude, he's really good at games. And he just had this, like, almost like his boat had a motor on it, because he was making so many laps around this board because he had so much money, and he was able to just kind of just drive around and pay all the fees and hit all the spots. But it's a great time though. Yeah.
Very cool. I have to confess, I haven't played this one, so
Really, yeah.
So now
It's
I
one of
need to.
Yeah, it's one of the David Turkey's like lesser, like not as popular games.
Right.
Everybody knows him for like things like Anachrony and whatnot. But like, yeah, this one here, like when I was talking to him and I said something about Venice, and he was like, "Oh," like he was just surprised that was the game that I had brought up. And I really I love the little gondolas. And you put the little cubes. I'm a sucker for a ship where you can put the stuff right on the ship itself, and then you move it around. Like that's awesome.
This is a good pick, Bob. I totally spaced on this one. This is very unique compared to other pick up and deliver games.
Yeah.
So, Bob, it's funny because I was thinking, if you want to impress like a designer or like a celebrity, that you're into, you don't say you love their most
popular game.
Most popular game. You find that deep cut, right? Like
Yeah.
you'd be like, "Oh, I love the Walled City." Like that's my favorite game of yours. And you're like, "Really? That one sucks." No, I just literally like checked and tried to find like the earliest, most obscure game of Daryl's.
Check off Tim Panders on your
yeah,
that was nicely played. Nicely played.
But no, that's not a pick up and deliver.
No.
But I do know that Bob legit loves Venice. He's been talking about that. I've not played it, but when doing a little bit of research, it did come up. So
it's good. I spaced it.
I'm going to dance around because I don't want to step on one that could be on Bob's list and could be everyone's number one. Maybe should be. I'm going to go with a game that's not perfect, but it's fun and I love the theme. And that is Escape from 100 Million BC.
Nice pick.
This is a game where you go back in time and but your time machine breaks and all your shit's scattered around and you got to run around and find all the pieces to your time machine and maybe find the historical characters that have been stuck.
Evan Wilson.
This game's super fun. It's goofy. It's not perfect. There's flaws to it.
Perfect, but
I don't care.
Awesome.
It's fun. I have a great time playing it. You can't go into this game as the meta gamer, right? I need a game that works and everything's great. No, the vibe and the feel of this game does it for me. Escape from 100,000 BC or 100 million BC. Super fun. I love the weirdness of it. I even bought little plastic dinosaurs to put into my game box so that when the different dinos spawn, I put something that looks close to what it's supposed to be, on the board. Super fun, silly, goofy game. I enjoy the hell out of this.
You thought you weren't pandering. I was the developer on this game.
No shit.
Everybody mark your bingo card.
Hold on. Accidentally pandering does not count.
No, that's even more strategic.
IDW.
No, so talking about Kevin Wilson, just before we came on air, I devved his Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for IDW. This was one of his games right after that. Unfortunately, it was super rushed out the door because I think if it had more time, a lot of the things could have been caught and developed. But you could see the bones. You could see the
bones. I was literally just going to say the bones of this game are really good.
Yeah,
you could really just put this through a couple of cycles, and I feel like you could come out with a really tight, clean, and very fun game with a great theme.
Totally agree. Yeah, Kevin Wilson's an under the radar designer. He's known for his biggies, but he doesn't get enough attention. And wow, This was a real. I'm shocked you picked this one. I never anticipated someone to call this one out. So.
I have this game on my shelf. It's right there. It's actually one space away from Fast Sloths on my shelf next to Elder Sign because I have things pseudo alphabetically ordered.
Sure.
But I legit love this game. And again, I know it's not perfect. No. Right, I know there's flaws in it, but it
has fun. Moments. It has some really fun moments.
Yeah, and there's just like goofy, wild things that can happen in it, and you get good stories from this game.
Oh yeah, which is so Kevin. Like he would rather you not sand off the fun to make it balanced.
Yeah, I would rather have a good time than play like the perfect, clean game. Totally. Which is why I don't love Agricola.
There you go.
But anyways, so yes, Escape from 100 million BC, which I had no idea Daryl worked on.
That's awesome.
Is my number 3. Here's the problem, Daryl, is you've had your finger in so many pies. This was unavoidable.
Yeah, maybe.
I blame you. I blame you.
That's a fair blame.
It's fair.
Well, talking about games that I had a little bit of influence on, I didn't design this, but it was actually pretty influential on me starting to be a designer. It's a game designed by Sen Fong Lim and Jay Cormier, a couple designers that I love. And they made the pickup and delivery game Akrotiri.
I've heard so much about this. I love Jay and I love
it's from me, Tim. This was my number 2.
Nice. I've heard about this game so many times.
Just snuck it in. All right. Well, fun fact, so that I'll bring a little to the table for this. I was a playtester for this. This is one of the early games that I went from, playtesting to trying to design. And this was originally designed as a 4-player game, up to 4-player. It's a 2-player only. But whenever we play it, it would take hours. It was a very long game for a very small box. And when they pitched it, Z-Man was smart enough to go, you know what? Let's just cook this down to 2-player only. It's really good at just 2-player. And then we can say on the runtime, it's half the time. And it worked really successful. But my go-to tip, if you don't mind the game running too long, buy 2 copies, squish it together. You can play an epic 3 or 4-player version of the game, and it does not break. It is an awesome time.
Wow.
Great pick, Daryl. I've been talking about this game for a long time. I know Tim is a huge fan of Jay Cormier designs.
Yeah, I am. I love mind management. I've got Harrow County. Can't wait to play it. Yeah.
Jay is an incredible designer, and I would not be a designer if it wasn't for Jay, or Sen for that matter. Sen was my mentor as I started to do game design. And then Jay was actually the first person that he just had me join all of his pitch meetings, and I was just his wingman. I would just clean up, set up, listen. But that gave me an in that I knew who to talk to. And I did 20, 30 pitches with him, just listening and watching him. And that changed my life. Like, that's an example. And same with Sen. The amount of times that I got to play test with him, that he introduced me to people. We started even the Maple Syrup show together, and he still is rocking the Maple Syrup show today. But this is my second favorite game from them, and it's underappreciated. It's out of print, but it's so good.
Here's the thing about the industry again, is you got guys like that, right? Established designers, and they're like, hey, this is what you need to do. Like, come with me. I'm going to show you. That's incredible, right? I love Belfort. Belfort's
that's my number one from them.
Belfort is one of my all-time favorite games. I love Belfort. I love the humor. I love the game itself. There's just so many things about Belfort that I love. I'm really sad that TMG went under.
That's how I met them. Was I looked them up because I was like, oh, Belfort's my favorite game. Who are these guys? And then found out that Sen lived in my city.
Holy shit! That's
incredible. All the places in the world. I was like, what? Yeah. And then I just started playing games with him, and he'd have me play test, and he kept asking me, oh, when are you going to design? And at the start, I was like, oh, never. I don't want to. I just enjoy games.
Yeah.
And he just, inceptioned it in me.
Yeah, love it. Oh, what
That's
a great story.
amazing. Daryl,
You-
I'm glad you brought this up. I've put this on I don't know how many lists by now. I
Mhm.
know Tim would enjoy this, but maybe now he'll be more inclined to play it with me. Not that he wasn't before.
It's
I
so good.
don't love pick up and deliver, but I love exploration, and this
Right.
game lets you explore the map. It's got a cool Greek theme to it.
Yeah.
It's got upgrades as you find more of those temples, and it's got one of my favorite mechanics, which is market manipulation, which
Yeah.
essentially fixes Zaya's problem. The more stuff you
Yep.
ship,
Yep.
the less it's worth. This game's awesome. I really got to get this to the table again, and it was legitimately my number 2 for tonight.
I love it.
Great pick.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Daryl
Great
sniping. Daryl sniping. It's so good.
This game's awesome. I haven't played it in a long time.
Yeah, it needs more play. It's definitely kind of fallen out of the hip pick, but again, it's been a long time. You know, the game's been out of print for a while. So
Well, and again,
And
just a badass design team. Like, what do you expect?
I know. Yeah, like 10 years since I've played this thing.
Yeah.
It's really good, Tim.
Acrotiri. God damn.
It's so good. Great pick. All right, my number 3. I've talked about this one a few times because it's from my favorite designer, but it's nothing like any of his designs because he's never done anything that's a race. He's never done
Oh,
anything else that's pick up and deliver, and it's the Oracle of Delphi by Stefan Feld.
good pick.
This is a Greek theme where you're rolling dice for your action selection. And just like any Stefan Feld, you're going to gradually be able to level up your abilities and make certain things more powerful as you go. But you're essentially trying to, this is a race. You're trying to satisfy 12 requirements of Zeus before everybody else does. And you're going to be grabbing goods. Hey, our resident lurker, fellow designer Donnie Coleman agrees.
Yes, Donnie.
Yes, I
Donnie.
got Donnie out of the woodworks. I love
Yes,
it.
Mike, that's a win. You
That's
picked
a
a game
win right
so
there.
good that Donnie had to come out
It
of lurking.
awoke him.
It did.
love
He's
it.
always there. You just never quite know it until
That's
he
right.
comments.
I love
but
Donnie. He's one of my favorite people.
Oracle of the Delphi is a really great game, and it's nothing like any other Stefan Feld games.
Nothing like.
I
Yeah.
love his designs. I love how they give you multiple paths to win. But most of his games are point salad, and this is just a race. Who's the first to complete the 12 requirements that Zeus asks? And
Yeah.
that's going to be asking you to pick up things and deliver them to other places. Meanwhile, increasing your action efficiency, and it just works extremely well for me. I've got it in my collection. I got to play it again. It's a great game.
Yeah, I just learned this a couple years ago, and because it's so not like Feld, I never looked into it. And then a friend of mine just 2 years ago said this was their favorite Feld game, and I was like, "Oh, what is that?" And then when I finally played it, I was like, "Oh, this is awesome!" It's like you said, it's not like the point salad. It's clean. It's like a definitive winner. You're just, which engine can you build up and synergize so that you can be the first to finish.
Yeah, it's definitely got those engine building elements as you're just trying to create action efficiency and do things as efficiently as possible. It's a really good game. I haven't played it in a long time. I got to get this one back to the table. Of course, it's a Z-Man, which is synonymous with out of print.
Mike, I can't wait till I get Zev on the show and you can just give him shit every time we talk about Z-Man games. That's all I'm saying.
Well, he can't fix it now. He's not there anymore. So
Well, no, he's not. But I mean, every time we talk about a Z-Man game, Mike's
They're
like,
out of
"What? It's out of print."
you
And
got to
now,
tell Zev to bring them all back with his new company.
yeah, right, because he's with Bonacore now, right? That's what he's
Yeah,
with.
tell him your list of out of prints and say, bring these all back.
Bring these all back.
There you
I'm
go.
giving
That
you
was
the
actually
opportunity there, right?
That was a fun topic. We did a games that need reprinted. We'll just
There you go.
replay that one for them. And
Exactly.
Yeah, Mike's whole list was Z-Man games.
I believe that.
Russian Railroads, which actually finally happened.
Yeah, that's a great
But
one.
yeah, this is a great game. I need to play this one again.
All right.
Man, Donnie, I haven't heard that one in a while. I used to play a lot of games on Yucata.
Oh,
However
yeah.
that's pronounced. Good stuff. That was before the BGA days took me over.
Bring
All
us
right.
to number 2.
Back to Bob with number 2.
Right. So my number 2 has one of the coolest mechanisms in it to go along with the pickup and delivery. But in Fire and Axe, you are doing some picking up and some delivery, but it also has a super cool wind mechanism. So depending on what way the wind is going, you're gonna like sail further in certain directions. You're playing cards that you can use to like try to change the directions of the wind. I haven't played this game in a long time, but man, like I really enjoyed it. Like the 5 or 6 times I played it back when it first came out, and I want to play it some more. Not only can you do like raiding and pillaging, but like I said, it does have some pickup and delivery. You can do like trading type of stuff with the pickup and delivery. And yeah, I really enjoy this one. I think it goes under the radar a lot. And again, another one of those IDW games that goes under the radar. You know, people don't know about them. I think it was overshadowed by Blood Rage because there's a lot of Viking games coming out around that time, and Blood Rage is one of the ones that came out around that.
Is this the right one? This shows 04.
That's the right one. I guess it became big when I saw it.
So fun fact of the pandering again.
Okay.
You probably played the 2015 version.
Probably.
By IDW because I was there then.
Oh, Bob, you pandering son of a bitch.
The other thing I was gonna point out here too is that Josh Capel of Toronto-based Burnt Island Kids Table Board Game is the artist on this one, way before they existed.
And maybe this was the guy who asked him.
Nice.
Oh shit.
I'm a huge Josh Capel fan. You'll even have noticed on Escape, he was an artist on that one as well. I kept bringing Josh in whenever I could. So
we are big fans of Burnt Island and Kids Table Board Game. In fact, when we had Sean Jacquemin on the show no less than a month ago, I pointed out to him how I have propped you out of photos for our thumbnails.
Oh, we did talk
more
about
than
that.
Anybody. I did it for him and I did it for Andy Kim when he was on the show. I've been stealing your photos for at least a couple months.
Glad to be of service. So
yes. Yeah, that was the joke, was that we have cut Daryl out of more photos than times he's been on the show, which is 0. Right. But still, that still applies. We have still cut you out of more photos with designers that we've had on.
This looks like the newer version here.
No, this is the oldest one. This is the Asmodee version.
Okay.
And then there was, so this isn't the Josh art. And then the newest one.
No, the one you had before was the one that Bob has.
If you go to versions,
that's the version.
Or that one, you'll see that's Pandasaurus and IDW.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
So the irony was back in the day, Pandasaurus and IDW were one company. Fun fact.
No shit.
So all the games came through, us. And there were certain ones that Pandasaurus focused on and certain ones that IDW focused on. But we were one company at the time. So, that was when I met Nathan and Molly for the first time was through working there. So,
man.
Nice.
The wild, wandering worlds of Small World. I didn't work much on this one because this was a Pandasaurus title. But I did get to influence it by recruiting Josh and just being a fan.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, his graphic design work is really, really good.
Now, I have to admit, I did not play this game, and I'll tell you why. Because at the time that this game came onto my radar, was at the same time Blood Rage,
Oh, yeah.
Champions of Midgard.
There was a
Like,
lot.
Everybody was doing
Lot of
Viking games. And
Yeah.
I played Blood Rage, loved it.
Yep.
Played Champions of Midgard, hated it, and then
Right.
was kind of like over Viking games.
Yeah. Yeah. You had your fill.
I did. And so that's unfair to Fire and Axe. Have not played it, but
Yeah, it's what I loved about it. It kind of just gave me like an old, vibe of like playing games and just raiding and battling and just like. But it was quick. I remember always thinking like, normally when I played games like that, it was many hours, and I always felt like I could learn and be done the game in less than 2 hours. Like
like an old Avalon Hill, sort of game where you're like, well, we're just gonna do this all day. You know.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, Bob, I want to
really
play
cool.
this.
Okay.
I want to play
I
it.
talked about this game a lot because I really enjoyed it, and I just haven't got to play it since probably 2016 or 17. Last time was Peakway.
Well, and again, honestly, it's kind of like movies. Movies used to do this, right? Like Volcano and like Dante's Peak, like those movies would come out like in the same year.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like, okay, I'm over the Volcano movies.
Yeah. Deep Impact and Armageddon in the same year, right? Like movie studios, they rush out and in video games, board games used to do this. Now, I don't feel like they do it as much now, but they definitely used to like rush zombie themed games.
Like today, like right now, it's mushrooms. Mushrooms are the
everything. You're right. There is
mushrooms and animals.
Yeah. A lot of mushrooms.
Yeah.
A lot of mushrooms. I feel like there's always room for anthropomorphic animals as long as it's unique. But yeah. I'm not going to die on that hill. I think that, but when they cluster all those together, all it takes is like one bad one, and then you're kind of out. Is Bob? Is that Bella?
She was like checking out the camera, so I figured I would like.
Perfect.
Oh wow, yeah, that is perfect. She is checking it out.
How dare you talk about animals?
Right.
Like you were saying. All right. Anyway, sorry.
I got 2 cats, a dog, and a guinea pig in this house.
She was just too perfect, and I popped it.
She was. Okay, so for my number 2, I'm going to go Queen Games. I'm going to go recency bias, and I'm going to say Dabawala.
Oh, great pick.
I mean,
is that a pick up and deliver?
There is literally a pickup phase and a delivery phase. It is pick up and deliver. Mike, what do you want from me?
It is.
I mean, it's literally even the theme.
Literally theme-wise, you are literally picking up and delivering.
Dude, I didn't think this was a pick up and deliver game, but sure enough, BGG gives it credit. I love this game. I'm sorry. Go on.
No, I mean,
game.
Hold on. I mean, Mike, tell me, please. I cede my time to you to tell me how it's not a pick up and deliver game.
I can't tell you why it's not. I fought against it for whatever reason. This game is great.
This game's very cool. I really appreciate the theme. Again, it gives you an opportunity to learn about other cultures, and stuff going on there. And I feel like they did a really nice job of trying to understand, what they were doing, and then created this very cool game where you're stacking up all those lunch pails, right? As high as you can, and then you're selling them all off. And then you're even like pairing up and matching your chai tea, your chai things and everything. This game's very fun. I feel like it was really hot for a minute and then kind of dropped off the radar for some reason.
Totally dropped off.
And I feel like more people should know about this, right? Like bring it back. Yeah. This is important. This is a very cool game, and should not be overlooked. It's got very cool components. It's really fun. I like what they're trying to do with it. It's very unique. I haven't played any other game like it, to be honest, with what it does. I mean, the Dark Road, Merchants of the Dark Road kind of teases it with sort of that polyomino you're building. But this does that with the stacking of the lunch pails. Very cool.
Yeah. I just played this in September, and I liked it so much that I offered to buy it from the person who had the game.
Oh,
and
right
they,
on.
and they sold it to me on the spot. It was James Correa. I don't know if you know him. He's a photographer. He does a lot of product shooting, and he has a channel like a photo thing called Little Meeples. And so he does a lot of the photography shots. He used to do them all for Funko games. He does all the Renegade product shots and stuff like that. So he gets sent all these games to do photography. And so he taught it to me, and I was like, I love this game. Can I just buy it from you? He's like, no, I like this game. And I was like, no, but I like this game, and I don't want to go shopping. So he was like, all right, fine.
Yeah.
Great pick, Tim. I don't know why I shunned this one from the list. I think this game is great. If we pick Polyomino as the mechanic, I'd have easily 15 plus. I love Polyomino games. But yeah, it is essentially as the theme is pick up and deliver.
And you're moving around.
Yeah,
you're moving around.
I mean, like, I didn't mean to like just throw up fisticuffs immediately, Mike, when you were like, what? But
No,
I couldn't help myself.
I considered it myself, and I don't know why I just left it out of sight, out of mind. What's funny is my favorite mechanic is actually the second round, where everybody plays a card that determines how much every square is worth. To me, that's the part that feels like market manipulation, which is the thing that always works for me in games. And I love trying to do that double think of what are other people going to play? He's got a bunch of reds on his board. He's probably going to play his +2 on red. So I only need to play my +1 on red.
Yeah.
It's a great game. Good pick, Tim.
No, I mean, it's kind of a secret, pick up and deliver kind of game, but I don't know. This was one of the early ones that I thought of when making the list. And
I'm glad.
Again, it was once I kind of thought about it, it kind of kept moving up further because I'm also like, why is no one talking about Dabawala at all?
This is a hilarious comment. Well said, David.
Oh, so here Mike does.
It's only funny because Daryl's in the same boat, maybe.
Well,
I mean, I had to go back. You'll notice all my game picks are like 10-year-old. Although I will give shout out, great pick here because it is a great one. I wasn't thinking of it as a pickup and delivery, although it's an obvious pick. But it like you said, it came out, it had a flash, and then it's been forgotten, and for no good reason.
And that's just been since like May or June. Like it's not even been that long.
It just shows how hard it is for a game to get noticed. You can make an awesome game, you can get the hype, and it still can be forgotten.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is funny, Mike, because we talk about any of these kind of lists, right? Oh, I don't know that I love these kind. I will never say that because either I will do one of two things. I will either honestly, usually it's like, oh, I didn't realize that all of these games that I love fit in this mechanic, or B, you find fun ways to like shoehorn in your games that you like, into those mechanics. Sure. But if you're a real fan of board games, which we all are, you're gonna find stuff that you're like, yeah, definitely, that's great. Like it's really good. I don't always love that. That's the exception to the rule. Whatever. It may be no Mistwind, but it's pretty damn good this year.
You gotta try.
You gotta aim high.
Right.
And if you aim for the moon, you still hit the stars, right? If you miss
the stars.
I mean, spoiler, when we do our games of 2024, it's probably in my top 10. I think it's great.
Nice. All right. Well, my number 2 is going way back. This is a 20-year-old game that did get remade. I like the OG the most, but 10 years ago there was a remake, so even the remake is old. But I fell in love with this game. It has some really unique mechanics that I still don't see being used. It was Himalaya.
Nope, I have not played this.
Himalaya, it was a game that was originally it came out who was the publisher? I can't even remember who the publisher was. But it got remade into Lords of Ziddick.
I own Lords of Ziddick. Have not
I
played
love
Lords
that
of
game.
Ziddick.
Yeah,
I haven't heard of any of these.
Yeah, so
Own, have not played.
So if you look at, and I mean, it's maybe even more fair to say, if you go to re-implemented, Lords of Ziddick, if you click that,
Yes.
it is an awesome pickup delivery game that no one plays anymore. It is especially awesome, and I highly recommend playing it 4 or 5 players.
Program movement.
Yeah, program movement, which is part of, in my opinion, one of the ways to solve pickup and delivery, is if you do program movement, then you can't always get what you thought you were going to get. It also has like this really fun little piggy bank system that like you're delivering, but people don't know how much you've delivered to certain locations. And so I think that's another really fun solve that doesn't get utilized a lot. And just the movement mechanic in general of like which way are you going to move, which color route kind of thing. It's just really clever, tight.
I really enjoy that game.
It is forgotten.
Yeah.
But it originally Himalaya back 20 years ago was a star game. And then unfortunately the World of Ziddick didn't really do it any benefits. So it didn't like give it attention.
Didn't breathe new life into it.
No,
Yeah.
but it was a 2005 Spiel des Jahres nominee and almost won. And yet now we're 20 years later and no one even remembers it. So that was easily on my list, and I thought, in my top 3, that was for
that's
me.
A great game. I love I've played Lords of Ziddick a few times. I've taught it to people. Like I really enjoy that game. It's awesome.
So it's funny because this is one of the games that I picked up because people I know and people that are close to me love this game.
Yep,
Yeah.
your sister.
I've yet to play it, but I won't get rid of it until I play it.
Yeah, you gotta play it. And once you
because I've
play
heard
it,
so many good
you won't
things.
get rid of it. You won't,
and that's
get rid of
fine
it.
too. I can live with that.
Yeah,
I can live with that. But
Bob
Bobby loves it. My sister loves it. Yeah.
Bob's been talking about this one for a long time, but now that Daryl's mentioned it, maybe I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Okay. Man,
Yeah,
I'm
Bob's
fucking
opinion.
first
Bob,
time.
I'm just I'm your assist. I'm your wingman on this. So
Listen, when somebody that like designed a game like Sagrada comes on, I guess we gotta like, maybe look at it.
Bob has literally put this one on so many lists.
I love it.
That's great.
I love it.
Justification right
Listen,
there.
if you can't talk shit to your best friends, what can you do?
Okay, yeah. Okay, talk shit to.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So, Mike, what's your number 2?
All right. Well, Akratiri got stolen.
Oh, right.
So I'm gonna I'm gonna
Stolen.
take a page out of the book from the full 42 and change my number 2.
There you go.
We'll switch it with one of my honorable mentions. I've only played the original versions, but there's so many now, but I'm gonna go with Horrified.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, that is pick up and deliver, technically.
It is. You're picking up those. What the heck are they called?
Well, the different
either way,
items you need to take out the different monsters. Yeah.
well, you got the items, but you also got those like innocent characters that you can escort to different locations and get special ability cards. And again, typically not a mechanic I love. But what this game does is those little mini games. It's those little mini games that you get to play based on the monsters that you're using. So you can customize your difficulty based on what monsters you're playing against. And I
how
love
many?
that.
Yeah.
How many monsters you use, what little mini game you want to play. Like this one, for example, the Invisible Man is you got to pick up these goods from different locations that has specific numbers, and you got to go to this location and deliver those goods into this area. But like the Mummy, his is you got to go to this location and use actions to flip these things over and arrange these tiles. They're numbered now, but they start off randomly slapped down there. You got to move them around and get them into this specific order. And every monster in the game has a totally unique and different mini game. And so to me, that just makes it feel very different every time you play it. and every version of the game there's American monsters, there's cryptids, now there's Greek monsters,
Mhm.
and all of them have these unique mini games, and those mini games are truly what makes this game shine for me. The pick up and deliver is just kind of the extra element added to this game that makes it work. I'd
This
much rather
series is by far the best Prospero Hall Funko release. Sorry to interrupt, Mike, but it's just the best.
No, I've enjoyed this version a lot. I've played it quite a bit. I've shown it to a lot of people, including complete non-gamers that really enjoyed it. And note to those watching, if you've been interested in some of the newer versions, a lot of them are on sale on Amazon right now. I've got a couple of them in my cart. I may pick up Greek monsters here real soon.
Oh, I gotta get the Greek one and the American, whatever.
Yeah, I want the American because of the Mothman. I just have this weird obsession with the Mothman.
Yeah.
Oh, I get nice. I did a game called The Real Truth, and it's all about cryptids. You got to check that out sometime.
Well, apparently we're playing the wrong Horrified, Mike. So let's get on The Real Truth.
Sweet.
Real Truth. It was based on a podcast, the last podcast on the left.
I love the last podcast on the left. I listen to that show all the time.
I made it with them.
Nice. Wait, they were involved in that?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a cool video of them teaching it.
What?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Daryl, hold on. I need you to do me a favor. Stop being cooler than you already are. I can't handle it. That's really freaking cool, dude.
That's pretty badass.
That is badass.
Yeah, really cool. This whole premise is amazing, so it just made sense for them to keep expanding it.
Oh yeah.
I can't wait to try the other versions.
Sweet. All right, let's get the number one before I turn to a pumpkin.
Yeah, not a difficult number 2 for me. I was happy to include that on the list, actually. Let's go to number 1.
We're 1. So this was the first game. Like as soon as we decided that
it just said welcome, Wayne.
As soon as we decided it was going to be a pickup and delivery, this was the first game that I wrote down. I love this game. I picked it up because I found a fancy painted version online, and like I said earlier, I'm a sucker for any game where you can really take your stuff and you put it on your boat or whatever your ship is, and you move it around. But Black Fleet,
Bob, this was the second game I wrote down.
Yeah,
I forgot about this.
Really enjoy this game, and I've got a deluxe kind of version where it has the gold doubloons, so they're super nice. Yeah, and you're playing your cards, and you're moving your ship. You got the Navy ships, you have your pirate ship, and you're stealing stuff from other people and trying to bury it. It's just super fun. And the fact that your ship can carry your goods, and then your pilot ship runs into them and steals one of their goods and puts on your pirate ship, then you got to run away and bury it somewhere. It's just a ton of fun for me. I really enjoy this game. I wish I could play it with more people, but I feel like I do. I take it to meetups. It's a super low rules overhead, so it's easy to teach to people, and it's really good. So. Yeah,
I'm waiting for Daryl to be like, "Oh, hey,
oh yeah, I helped design that too.
Helped design that."
no, you know what's funny? The first thing that I always think of is I pillaged those ships for so many prototypes, including Mistwind. We use them.
Nice.
Yeah, you used them in that.
They're great ships.
They're
cool. Really nice.
They're so cool.
And the guy that I bought them from, I found it online, and the guy had airbrushed them, painted them, and they looked super cool.
Oh.
So what I need to do though is I need to paint the crow's nest a different color, because I do have a hard time with the colors that he chose, telling them apart. But I mean, once I know what ships are mine, I just Bella. That's not for you. That's not a toy for you. Sorry, the cat's getting into stuff.
He just Bella'd you.
Yeah, I just Bella. But no, it's just a fantastic little game. The map is fun. The cards are super cool, and then it's good.
No, it's great art. It's a very cool game. Super fun. Bob, I wrote this down, but I knew you would have it.
Yep.
What's funny though is you didn't have what will be my number 1.
Ooh. It's probably on my short list.
I'm scared. I'm scared you're gonna pick my number one here.
I really hope that Daryl's like, oh yeah, I worked on that too. This was a collaboration between Direwolf and Renegade Games.
Yep.
And I'm talking about Clank, baby.
Yep.
Clank is so damn good. I know it doesn't seem like a pick up and deliver game, but you are literally diving as deep into the dungeon as you can, and you are getting back up to the top. And you get more points if you could actually deliver those goods all the way up to the top. Clank is my number one with a bullet. I mean, pick your flavor, whether it's Clank in Space, whether it's Clank Catacombs, which is my favorite version, or OG Clank, which is my second favorite version. I have not played Legacy yet, so I can't count that. But out of my three,
Legacy's the best.
That's what I've heard. I've got it sealed. I've got it in shrink. I have not even popped the shrink on it.
Pop that shrink.
Rice, we got to make this happen, man.
Yeah.
No.
We got to make it happen. I have 2 games that I will do as honorable mentions after we're all done that I had in my pocket just because they're not published yet, technically, but they're on the way. That I would have used as my number one, but Clank. Holy shit, I love Clank so much. It does everything I love. It's deck building. There's that race aspect to it. There's that pressure luck. There's the tension there with that. It's the pick up and deliver. Fine, great, awesome that's there. Clank is so good. It's so much fun. It
was on my short list. I figured somebody would mention it. I was trying to leave the obvious ones for Mike.
Because Mike's not good at making lists.
Every single way, like, I didn't think of that. I didn't think of that. Yeah.
Oh shit, that's so good.
It's not.
Clank is so good.
I have a fun Clank story.
Yes.
So two fun facts about this. One, Paul Denon, who is also the designer of Dune Imperium, one of my favorite games.
Yeah, he's a great designer.
He's incredible. I actually got invited right after they designed the first Clank. They flew me down to Direwolf, and I almost joined the team there to work on all the future Clanks. So I love the game. I don't know what I was thinking, how it wasn't on my list, but it is incredible. But this story blew my mind. When I met Paul, I said, how much was you and how much was Renegade on the game? And he said, oh, no, we handed it files finished to Renegade. We just didn't want to be the publisher.
Yeah.
Because we were a digital company. They did things like Pokemon and online games. At the time, Direwolf had nothing that was a physical product. So they designed and handed to Renegade for just an average royalty, a completely finished game.
And it's a freaking home run of a game. Holy shit.
Can you imagine, most of the time people are going with their scrap of ideas and their homemade prototype, and then one day someone just walks up to you and goes, hey, would you want to make this?
I mean, here's how good it is. Here's how good it is. Direwolf finally broke off and just became their own publishing company.
Yeah.
On strength of Clank.
Yeah.
Wow. Paul Denon is one of my favorite designers. This and Dune Imperium. Incredible games.
No, he's great. That's so funny. That is so funny.
I literally considered this one, and then I looked at BGG, and it doesn't credit it as pick up and deliver, but it truly is. That's the whole goal of the game.
I mean, we just talked about an Wink game that has the same theme.
It's just
a scale.
Deep Sea Adventure is like the Clank Light, right?
Yeah, it's like Clank Baby.
Yes.
Yeah. It really is.
Wow, do you want to play Clank in 20 minutes or do you want to play it in like an hour and a half?
I think we've all agreed Catacombs is our favorite version, but regardless,
by far my favorite version. Yeah.
This would be my number one if I wasn't an idiot.
I'm really glad you're an idiot, Mike. I was trying to cater my list to not step on what I thought you and Bob might have. I did think Bob might have Clank, so I had a couple of alternatives in my pocket. But again, I'll use those as honorable mentions.
Yeah, I have a couple honorable mentions, but I'll say my number one. I was very afraid y'all were gonna pick it. But maybe you don't even like it. I don't know.
I hope I don't, just to make good conversation.
But I don't know if it's the best design game. It does have the best license, and that is Star Wars Outer Rim.
I had that written down.
I have never not played that game and not been like smiling for an hour straight of just feeling exactly what I want to feel from a Star Wars game, of just being on quests, recruiting crew, fighting, pulling off missions. So to me, when you say pick up and delivery, this is what I dream of, is just being, a bounty hunter running around, living the dream. So this is my number one for the genre for sure.
Yeah, that was on my short list.
I traded this game because I didn't like it as much as I liked other
I just need to
versions of
play it.
this.
Sure. It's just I had low expectations, and it just satisfies every time. It's got to be the right time. It does run a little long, but I never find this is the kind of game that I'm playing all day with buddies, and I just don't notice the time.
This was what I wanted. I thought this was going to be Zaya, but in the Star Wars universe, and it kind of is, but it didn't reach the level that I hoped. I think I was just disappointed in the board.
Sure.
But no, I'm never mad that a board game comes out and gets people excited. Honestly, right? Like, I will never not recommend this, especially if somebody's like a Star Wars, and I am a Star Wars fanatic, right? So I'm really glad that I even had this written down as one to use. So I'm glad you love it. I'm really glad. But I just wanted to be Han Solo flying the Millennium Falcon, and it to feel a little better.
Sure.
Bob, did I trade this to you?
I thought I had my own copy. I mean, I own it. I don't know if I got it from you. I don't recall.
Okay.
I got it, honestly.
I think you got it from me. I don't remember.
Definitely possible.
I don't remember sometimes I like to trade games I'm on the fence about like in my game group.
That's why he's in the family still.
So that I can always have access.
Yeah.
I could like try to get it back, because I've definitely traded games to friends that I'm I have rights of first refusal. So if you're ever going to get rid of this, you have to offer it to me first.
Yeah.
Sure.
Anyways,
Tim's got Nocta, so it's good.
Yeah, right. I did. I broke it in first.
That's right.
But no, great pick. I think this is an important game. I really want to play the expansion with it and everything too.
Yeah. I keep seeing the expansion. I haven't bought it or played it yet, but I've heard good things. So.
I just need to play this one.
All right.
What you got?
All right. I've talked about this one so much that these guys are probably tired of it, but they haven't played it yet, so it flies. This is truly an auction game at its heart, but you can't score points. Huh?
Container. What?
Keep going.
Can't contain my excitement, Mike. Go for it.
Container.
Yeah.
I love economic games.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you have shouted out economy, so this does not surprise me.
Yeah.
Man, this game just works so well for me. I mean, this game doesn't work without pick up and deliver, because really what you're doing, you're producing goods, and you can produce them, and then other people can buy them from you, and then you warehouse them. And then you send your ship out to the warehouse and you pick those goods up, and then you deliver them to the middle island. And it is in the middle island where the auctions happen. And if you have a ship full of goods, then other people are going to pay you for their goods, because the goods that you deliver on that middle island are truly what's going to score you points. It's got what Bob likes, which is a ship that fits stuff. And in this 10th anniversary edition, this ship is like it's like an 8-inch long ceramic ship that fits all of these shipping containers.
It's so expensive right now.
That's impressive.
Trying to find a copy. now. Ooh.
Well,
This ship-
it just by Mike's terms are different. Like that might measure different in Canada.
Well, if you
Just
measure it
saying.
from the base, you gotta go to the base.
Yeah, you got to go all the way.
Small hands,
You got
so
to
it
trim
makes
down
look
the dock
bigger than they really are,
and go all the way up,
which is not a glitch. It's actually a feature.
and maybe
there
press
you
it in
go.
a little. Just see how far in it goes,
These
That's
are
right.
and then
massive ships.
measure.
But everybody gets to score on the colored goods that they have on their island in a different way. So you're trying to buy these containers at low prices and sell them for higher prices, deliver them to the center island, and the more stuff you got on that center island, the more likely you are to score points. It's just an amazing economic game. It's kind of sad that it's gone out of print twice now,
Yeah.
because this game is just it just fires on all cylinders for me. I love this game.
Yeah.
They
It's a
need-
pure open economy.
They need the
Yeah.
expansion where your ship can get stuck in like the Suez Canal.
Right.
And
Delays.
just block off everything. Or as Jim says, because as a someone who has self-published, right? You get the shipping company to pick up the wrong
Oh
shipment.
yeah. We just need a whole bunch of semiconductors to get plugged up in the canal there too. But
I'm just telling you, there's a game there. There is a game in delivering board games
Yep.
from, let's just say, a manufacturing point overseas.
I've been asked to make this game.
Get up here.
Yeah, Daryl, you could do it.
No. I was asked by someone, and then when I talked to other game companies, they all said that's my nightmare every day. I don't think you should make that game.
Don't make that a game.
But here's the thing: is that's the publisher's nightmare.
Yeah.
But is that the consumer's nightmare? Right? Because the consumer is going to go, why is my game taking 3 years to deliver?
Yeah.
I can
They
fix
play the
that.
game and they're like, oh, I see.
Oh, it's
I can
difficult.
fix that.
Yeah.
Like, everybody on Kickstarter in the comment section is a Monday morning quarterback.
Right.
And it's like, well, if they would have called this play,
Right.
that would have happened
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
because they know.
Well, the key is to make sure everyone loses then. If you make
Well,
that game.
True.
Everything is always delayed then.
Everything's always delayed and
Yes.
costs more.
Best.
And then you've got to eat the profits.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that there's a real game in there. Like, right?
There
Like
you go.
of all the logistics
I
games,
see
Yeah.
it.
and if you could accidentally provide something that's educational,
Sure.
whoops, now, before I go into my honorable mentions, without derailing too far, Daryl, have you ever self-published or have you only ever signed games with other publishers?
Well, actually, I was a publisher for a blip.
Okay.
I started a game company called Maple Games, and fun fact, we ended up only making a couple games. We made Imagineers, and we made Dragon Boats of the Seven Seas.
Yeah. Okay.
So those are a couple of mine. And then fun fact, Mind Management was going to be my next title.
Oh my God, I love my management.
So we devved that significantly, and I was happy to pass it back to Jay for his company. And I'm good friends with Matt Kint. I was just with him at Board Game Geek. And
He autographed my management box
nice.
with
Good.
a
So-
portrait in the inside. It's so good.
Yeah, so that was my little foray into learning that I should not be a publisher. We also did Octopus Garden and had that in-house, and then we were going to do Expedition Northwest Passage, but I was out of the company by the time that actually worked out as a reprint. And then we had a few other games. We had the game Sandcastles that Brotherwise did.
Mm-hmm.
So that was another one of ours that went somewhere else. I'm trying to remember what else, but we had really good games. But I just learned it was a miserable life being a publisher. So I thought, well, maybe it would be nice to be happy while also working in this industry. So
That's fair. That's totally fair.
That was a real learning takeaway moment. I mean, even full circle, you mentioned Container and joked about Walled City. Well, both Walled City and Container were made by the same game company, Mercury Games,
Mercury, yeah.
doesn't make games now, but
No.
you just see like they're over and over again. It's tough for a publisher to stick around, even
Right.
when they're making good games.
I mean,
Right.
you need a terraforming Mars and then some,
Yeah.
you know, to really stand out
Yeah.
and make it. It's really tough. It's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah,
It's
I
hard.
mean, it was like we were doing Kickstarters that even with backer kit fulfillment and everything, we're only selling like 1,000 copies, you know, and then I'd collect an order from a distributor or two that knew me and trusted me enough that maybe they'd put in an order for another 500 games to start. So you're making maybe 1,500 games. You print then maybe double that and hope you can sell through them. And you're
Right.
just, you know, chasing your tail
Yeah.
constantly, because if you can't get 2,000 or 3,000 copies sold, you really can't make that game.
Yeah, it's tough. And I really cannot stress enough, like people that back games on Kickstarter and GameFound and stuff. I just really want to raise as much awareness about that as possible, right? Because I was there, you know, before I really delved into the hobby to where I am now, where it's like, well, they made a game, like, why aren't there like 1 million copies and I can just get whatever I want when I want it?
Yeah.
And it's just not how the world works. Not with the game publishing industry.
No.
It's so different.
I was just talking to a couple of designers and I was asking about games that I thought were successful this year, and I asked them how many copies sold, and all of them said, I asked 3 different, you know, name designers about big games that I thought were hits, and they each said they sold about 1,000 copies.
Dude, there was a huge Kickstarter a few years ago that I thought clearly like, oh, that's awesome. That's printing money.
Yeah.
And come to find out they lost money on it. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
That was so successful. And then they actually, like, the second run of the Kickstarter was what helped them actually recoup the costs.
Yeah.
And you're like, how is that even a thing?
Yeah.
Like, that game was so popular and it's all over the place. So it's very easy for people to take that for granted.
Yep.
Okay, so now hopefully not on a downer note, do you guys have any honorable mentions? Because I have 2.
I got 1.
No, they are mostly all already mentioned in other lists, so that was awesome.
I'll go first, and I'll let Daryl have the last word on it then. My 2 are filling now, and they're on their way. They were successful Kickstarters. Quests and Cannons.
Yeah.
Super cool. Pick up and deliver. Low rules overhead. Very cool. Customize your ships. Lots of very cool things you could do in that game. Really
2v2?
Yeah, 2v2v2. You could play 6 players with 3 teams of 2 players. Super fun. Really love it. Oh, I don't know who this person is, but hey, love Sagrada.
Oh, thank you.
So, yeah.
Nice. A repurchase.
And then the other one is, Bob, do you remember, Mike, I think you played this with us. Do you guys remember Cargo Empire?
Yeah.
So you were like delivering, and it was sort of like a territory control. You're delivering to like different cities. You were playing cards and you're delivering goods to cities. But then when you met those cities' needs, you got like the city card. Cargo Empire was really cool. It's filling now, but it was on Kickstarter like a year ago. Just shout out to like a couple of, you know, indie people that I thought had cool games. And really enjoyed their shit. Can't wait to actually have the games in my hand. And then we can show off and play the versions that aren't prototypes. I might still have the Cargo Empire prototype, but I definitely do not have the Quests and Cannons prototype. But usually,
that's soon though.
Yeah, and usually I try to
that's
not
awesome.
put games that aren't published,
Right.
like officially on the list, but I know these are filling. Thought about them, but that's why they were honorable mentions. Daryl, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean my honorable mentions the exact same reason. It's not out yet, and it's a shameless plug because it's one of mine, but it's based on a game that I wasn't involved with originally. I'll give you the German spelling so that Mike, you can pull it up. AUF space ACHSE. It only came out in German way back in the day. It basically translates way back. We're talking 80s, 1987.
Wow.
It won the Spiel des Jahres. It's designed by Wolfgang Kramer. I saw this game being play tested by Restoration Games,
Okay.
but they had a homemade version, and they made a homemade version so no one could tell what they were playtesting. I walked by, it was at Dice Tower West, and I said, "Oh, you guys have Ox Actual." And they said, "You know this game?" And I said, "Yeah." I don't know why, but for some reason, I stumbled onto a copy of that in my childhood. It came out when I was young, but only in Germany. And for some reason, someone imported a copy, and I think I found it at like a Value Village or something, like some used place. And I was like really into it. So they said, "Well, do you want to remake it?" And I said, yeah. So they hired me to remake this game. And I worked with Wolfgang Kramer. And then when COVID hit, they ended up releasing it. And I was like, "Oh, I have this game." So I pitched it to Arcane Wonders. They ended up signing it. And it is coming out as Leyline. So if you look at re-implementations of it, it will be coming out next year as a game called Leylines, Leylines.
I know what ley lines are. That's awesome.
And
Holy
so
shit.
I think it's gorgeous. It gives me the Days of Wonders vibes with the art. I got to see a copy at Essen, a preview copy. They had like a manufacturing sample. And I think it's awesome. It's me with Wolfgang Kramer.
Dude, that's very cool.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, this art's killer. That's Arcane Wonders for you.
Well, it's Arcane Wonders. You know the production value is going to be really freaking good.
Yeah, we're really psyched. They showed me it. It's gorgeous. If it does well, we actually have a follow-up game, a junior game, also featured in the same universe, the same world. And I'm biased, but again, it was my attempt at taking the old and then restoring and taking everything we've learned to make a really good pickup and delivery game.
Oh, there's a market.
Oh, and there is some serious market manipulation.
Baby.
Mike hates that. Oh, yeah. He hates market
manipulation. Mike's like his least favorite mechanism.
It's also got dice that you use for programming. So
oh, Mike,
that sounds awesome.
Mike, hold on. Mike, remember where you are. You're in a 13-year-old's bedroom. You need to hide your erection. Oh, that's cool.
This sounds great.
That's very cool.
This sounds awesome. And Arcane Wonders. Wow. Okay.
I get
my radar.
So yeah, I'm sure I'll be checking it out soon. So
instantly on my radar.
I mean, anything by Arcane Wonders, is worth looking at for sure.
Wow. Okay. Nice.
All right, party people.
I got one honorable mention I'll drop just real quick because I used my other one. This is the underappreciated game in this series, and it's Century Eastern Wonders. Yeah, everybody knows Century Spice Road. Century Eastern Wonders basically takes that whole gather resources, do some conversions, and says, all right, do some conversions on one space and then turn them in for points on another space. I thought it was a pretty interesting mechanic. I think this game is pretty cool. That's all I got.
That's a good one.
I'm glad you liked it. That's all.
Yeah, it's not for everybody. It's fine.
I'm a
No, it's
big
fine.
fan of Emerson. It's not my favorite Emerson game, but but it's hard to say anything's horrible. It's just a matter of taste.
Listen, right, exactly.
Except for that first edition of we just talked about it. So
Come on, Hoop. You got to talk shit. You got to come fire him, man. You got to have it loaded.
Yeah.
The Western Trail. No, the Oregon Trail.
Oh, Oregon Trail.
Okay. Yeah, that was shit.
Yeah, that was terrible. That was terrible.
Anyway, as you were.
No, yeah. Listen, there's one Emerson Matsuuchi game I don't love, and this isn't it.
He's wrong.
And I'm wrong, and it's fine.
Really
And
big
that's
about that.
Foundations of Rome.
Foundations.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
fair
wrong.
enough.
But
Yeah, unfortunately,
Totally
you're
fine.
wrong. But
totally
it's-
fine. I will live. I will wake up tomorrow still feeling really good about myself being wrong about that. That's totally fine.
You know,
You'll
one
sleep
thing-
fine knowing that.
Yeah.
One thing I don't like about this game, I think it's weird. These hexes, they just don't fit together as well as you
Yeah.
think they would.
The rendering is better than real life.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. They're more curved and harder to stay together in real
Yeah,
life.
they're awkward.
Okay.
It's weird.
Cool.
Anyway, there you go. Honorable mention. Didn't have many.
Well, guys,
Yeah.
this has been a freaking blast. Daryl, okay, I will shamelessly beg you to come back on and hang out
Happily.
with us again.
Happily.
Dude, this
You
has
let
been
me
a
know
great
when.
time. This has
Yeah.
been so much fun.
Yeah.
We almost just need to have you on with like barely a topic, just
Right.
so that I can
talk bullshit. Yeah.
just so that I can hear your stories, dude.
Yeah.
Your stories are so good.
Don't worry. I'll have
Um,
more for future episodes. Don't worry.
And I can't wait to accidentally bring up games that you were involved in.
Right.
That's so crazy. Because yeah. Anyways, just awesome. You were everything I had hoped for and more as a guest. Mike,
Thanks, everyone.
Mike, thank you for lining Daryl up.
Yeah.
Daryl, thank you for not judging Mike, based on first meeting with him, and giving him a chance. I really appreciate that. He comes out pretty strong. He's a little handsy. So, different people respond differently to that.
That's right.
He touched all the right spots. So
Yeah.
There you go.
There
Good job,
you
Mike.
go.
Hit all the right points.
But no, this has been awesome. This has been so much fun.
Yep.
Cannot think of a more fun guest now to have had leading into Friendsgiving next week. Daryl, I got to check out your podcast, dude. What was it called again? One more time?
Nerd about. So we're just
About.
figuring it out. Think about walkabout, but we're nerds. So
Right.
we're nerding about.
Nerdy version.
And,
Yeah.
we're we always try to emphasize kind of like what are some good foods, good spot, and geeky things you can check out in the city.
Sweet.
There you
Love
go.
it.
And then
Love the concept.
throw a dart and hit a game that Daryl has worked on or been involved in. But in all seriousness, just check out any one of his designs, right? I own several games already. I'm like looking around my collection. Unfortunately, I do not have the shitty Back to the Future game that he worked on, but I kind of want to have it now. Like, I kind of want it as a point of pride so that when I see Daryl, and it's going to be like, no, I don't want you to sign my Sagrada.
Right.
I want you to sign my Back to the Future, the dice
There you
game.
go.
Hey, my favorite thing about that game is I got to hand a copy to Michael J. Fox.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Right.
Okay.
I don't mind someone shitting on the game. I got to meet the man, the myth, the legend. Yes, please.
Okay. All right. So that's a story for next time
Yeah.
because I, as a movie fanatic, I want to know.
Yeah.
But I will spare everyone else.
Yeah, I got it.
We'll learn about that next time.
Yeah.
Holy shit, Daryl, that's awesome. Again, everything is advertised, dude. You were a wonderful guest. Googs always comes through for us, right? If Googs likes somebody, we know
They're good people.
they're good people.
Yep.
Awesome.
You've been great.
Thanks, guys.
103 episodes, Mike.
Yeah.
103rd episode.
I don't know how 104 tops this, but we'll have to try really hard next week. So, Daryl, you're the man. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much again
Awesome.
for coming
Thanks,
on the
guys.
show. Boys, thanks for being here.
Yep.
And for the board game rundown, I've been Tim.
I was Bob.
Mike.
Yes.
And I'm Daryl.
Yeah, we did it. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.
Bye.
We'll see you guys.
Good
next
job,
time.
Stonemeyer. A 7.3 repeating. 3 heating. 3 heating. 3 heating.